The tape, let's grind. Shut up. The tape. Let's grind. The tape. We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape, let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape, let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape, let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape,
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
the tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Right. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Yep. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunkered down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Film guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby Smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do a little bit different around here.
We ain't come to play, Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape.
We ain't come to play, Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape,
The
bro.
tape.
Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
I did it, folks. For months, maybe even years now, I've been deemed as the one who doesn't work on the podcast. And guess what? I'm the only one who showed up today. That's right. It's me for a full hour. And oh, come on.
I just want to make sure you...
Here I was thinking that I had the entire show to myself. And I could be...
You got it for a minute, okay? I was just making sure this was turned on, so whatever just absolute delicious takes you drop for the next 10 minutes, they don't get mic clipped.
Oh, I've got it for that
so
long?
I'm going to print my notes. You got the show. Okay, you got the show. Go ahead. It's all you. I'm just... not to micromanage you. I don't want to feel like I'm
cool.
overstepping. Go ahead.
Oh, so I do get a little bit of time to myself. I was thinking here that I'd be finally able to beat the allegations of does not work. I kind of did it. Jay Will's still on vacation. He will be for the rest of the week, but that doesn't stop us from working. Brooks obviously just got in. Pressers ran a little late. Surprise, surprise. Kirby Smart's pressers don't go, super on time. So... didn't even get to Kirby Smart today, just players. So, par for the course on that. But we still have a loaded show for you. John Gruden's QB camp came back this week, and I watched the first episode of it. I have a lot of takeaways about a specific quarterback. Mario Cristobal gave us an update on Carson Beck that may or may not make you feel better about that situation in Miami. Greg says makes a triumphant return. USC is on another recruiting tear this time of year. Brooks is going to deep dive into that. And SEC coach has a new edge this season, according to some players and analysts. And then a G4 school is losing a major coordinator, and another G4 coach wants this in the wake of the transfer portal. But before all that, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and hit this since Jay Will is not here with us. Let's get down to the first thing. I watched John Gruden's QB camp. John Gruden obviously was fired from the Raiders for the NFL, got hired by Barstool recently, has now brought back his QB camp, which is when he goes and interviews QB draft prospects, kind of takes them through the ringer. And as someone who grew up in the peak of that show, it reminded me how much John Gruden loves football, how much he knows about football, and how much of a, quarterback whisperer he is. I know that that's kind of been something that's been thrown around all over the place. John Gruden, I think, is in fact the quarterback whisperer. The way he connects with different quarterbacks and the way he embraces the sport of football as a whole is unlike anything I've ever seen. He had Ohio State quarterback Will Howard on the show. And honestly, I felt like Will Howard came away as a very likable player from this. Two, someone who understands a lot about football. I know all throughout the regular season it was kind of, Will Howard's just kind of mid, and the roster's kind of what's carrying him through this. There was a supposed deep state somewhere around here that was not a huge fan of him, but Will Howard came across as a very likable prospect. One, knew what he was doing, and two, legitimately cared about football. I think Gruden used the term culture builder multiple times. He was even coined by Ryan Day, he said. So I feel like that was a really, really good thing for Will Howard. It's got people talking about, is he going to sneak into the first round now, which I don't know if it's necessarily that. And obviously I understand that these types of events and these types of productions are meant to make your quarterback look a little bit better. But I felt like Will Howard really came away with a winner from this. There was one moment in particular that stood out to me, though, and it was when he was referring to the Tennessee game, the college football playoff game. There's a clip, obviously, of the Tennessee players running out shirtless, and Will Howard kind of commented on that, and he said, the funny thing is they came out with their shirts off, they ran over to the opposite end zone, and immediately put them back on. I was like, what the hell are these clowns doing, man? And at that moment, we knew we had them. And that just felt like they were kind of throwing salt on the wound of that Tennessee game still. I mean, everyone knows for Tennessee fans how badly that game ended, how badly that season ended, so much so that some of the staunch fans started having questions about Josh Heupel. So it felt very funny to me for him to kind of dig that up again one more time. It also showcased to me that Will Howard kind of has that FU moxie to him that I don't know that necessarily we ever really gave him credit for. I mean, I blessed him up and down after that Oregon game, which he also addressed. So if you haven't checked out the Gruden QB camp, I highly recommend that. But just about ready to go? Or you want me to keep on rolling here?
No, you're good. First of all, welcome in. Glad to be here. I hate that he works for Barstool, because now my algorithm on all my social media feeds is inundated with Barstool stuff. Yeah, because I've been watching Gruden stuff. Also, the reasoning behind getting fired, not ideal in the NFL world. I think, not to be that guy that brings that up, but if you don't bring that up, you're not telling the whole story. He wasn't fired because he wasn't a good football coach. Nope. That's for damn sure.
There were some emails.
God knows ball. All right, and the reason I like watching him, and I watch a ton of him, and I feel like this is one of the reasons why people watch us. It's very clear that he loves ball. Man, does this guy love football. You hit on it in your opening, man. I love people who love ball. That's the type of content that I want to support. I don't want to support people that cover football because it's the way to get the biggest contracts in journalism. All right, I don't necessarily gravitate towards those people. All right, the people I gravitate to are the ball knowers and the people who love ball. That is a guy who loves ball, and there is no doubt about it. The energy that he brings. I've been watching the whole thing. Like the QB camp just came back, but I mean, he had Malachi Starks in the coaches rooms and buildings that he's got over there, which looks to me like those like real estate places, like, you pull it to almost looks like a house.
Model home.
Yeah, this is basically what his Fire Football Coaches of Association of America office space looks like. But no, man, like this, it's the reason why a guy like Malachi Stark spent multiple days with him, multiple mornings, like getting there at like 6:45, 7 o'clock in the morning, because it's an infectious energy and love of football. And on top of the fact that I mean, the guy knows ball. Like he knows ball at the highest of high levels.
And it is kind of a double-edged sword that it does work for Barstool because, like you said, it does throw a lot of Barstool things at you, and you can have your reservations about them if you want. But it is kind of nice as well because John Gruden is about as naturally John Gruden as he can be. Mm-hmm. He's not buttoned up. There's no censorship for TV. It felt like legitimately two guys who love the sport of football, knew a shit ton about it, coached it, and played at some of the highest levels, legitimately just talking ball and going over concepts. And it's honestly, I think, what people love about this show on a much lesser scale. I mean, we're not NFL coaches or ex-college football national champions, but I feel like we do have a pretty good grasp on the sport as a whole.
And that's the lane we're in. That's like we talk about the news on this show, but especially in season, I feel like people come to us to learn and listen to ball talk, not people who are talking about ball. Mm-hmm. I think that's the way. When I was going on these visits, people were like, why's a sports media guy sitting in on the meetings? And my explanation in simplest terms was, on our channel, and what I try to do is talk ball. I'm not talking about ball. I think there's a very staunch difference there, and that's what Gruden's filling right now nationally in terms of a lane. Good job on the opening. Welcome in. We got a great show for you guys. As Kirby alluded to, you gave the rundown there. Do we have the ability, Kirby, to actually play the Shane Beamer tweet? I wasn't here in pre-show.
I did not. I don't know how
to be able to get that for you. So here's what I want you to do, okay? While I talk about and lay this out, I want you to go over there on Twitter, okay? And I want you to pull it up on that board, all right? And you're going to play it. And I think our desktop audio is being shared currently on the stream anyways. So I think we should be good. Audience should be able to hear it. If not, we'll be able to hear it in-house, and we'll be able to actually relay it to the audience and what was said. But I do, especially this time of the year, coaches are really, really protective of their depth chart. It's the reason why we've had one practice availability. We will get another one Thursday in the Georgia space, okay? I don't know how frequently South Carolina's beat reporting scene gets to go out to practice, but Shane Beamer allowed them to go out to practice this week, and he wasn't necessarily happy with the depth chart article that was written immediately after practice, okay? And the reason being, and I understand this completely, you don't really let the media see anything. None of these coaches do. They let them out there during individual periods, which, if you've never seen individual periods at a college football practice, you ain't really pulling rotations. What you're pulling is veterans, like who's leading individual group training sessions, right? Who's out there going through drills first? Most of it's the old heads, all right? That's not really an indicate or a good indication of what the actual rotation is on these rosters. Shane Beamer wasn't necessarily happy with the depth chart that was released. Do we have that?
I can't even find it now. You know what day he posted it?
Nope. I thought did I send it into our group chat?
Perhaps. Let me check.
You're good. But anyways, here, I'll just play the audio for you. There we go. I'll do the classic, just hold it up to the microphone. This is going to be dog crap production quality on the video front, but the podcast audience,
they'll love it.
It won't matter to them. It'll sound good to them. So here we go. It's 3.5 minutes. I'm not going to go the full 3.5 minutes.
To report things, but it is frustrating for me as the head coach when Tuesday or Thursday, a lot of you weren't here because you were with the basketball team already, but we had media availability, and I actually added, I think, 20 or 30 minutes to it to try and give you guys even more access. During that time, we didn't do any 11-on-11 work, meaning the offense versus the defense, not even any full offensive work where you would see here's the group that's out there with the offensive line. So it was very disappointing when an article comes out that says here's the first team offensive line, second team offensive line, and third team offensive line. I mean, that's horse crap, guys. We don't have a first team, second team, third team right now. We don't. It's freaking April. So for a reporter to come out there and say here's the third team offensive guard, I mean, what are we doing? So if you come out there and it's 11-on-11 and you watch the offense 11 people versus the defense 11 people and there's Lenore Sellers, yeah, that's probably our first group if there was such a thing. We didn't do any of that. It's drill work, meaning the offensive line are over there with Lonnie Teasley and Greg Atkins, and they're going through drills and they're trying to get better fundamentally. And there might be a guy that might be out there with...
All right. So first of all, what are you giggling about?
We have a new viewer in the chat.
Interesting.
Jay will go on vacay.
Oh, Jay will go on vacay for sure. Good chat name. Jay Won't was a good nickname in the Discord. Jay won't work. But anyways, back to the Shane Beamer quote. I understand his frustration.
Completely.
This time of the year, any type of misinterpretation with your roster leads to phone calls that you don't want to have 5 days before the portal opens. I mean, that's another thing that nobody's really talking about, I feel like, because I don't know how many people are producing content other than us and the biggest show in college football. There's not a ton of people putting out stuff right now, so I'm not watching or seeing a lot of stuff. But the portal opens in like 6 days. It's like April 12th.
Yeah. And I mean,
or April 14th, something like that. It's very, very soon.
And I mean, I get it from both sides. I get obviously for why Shane Beamer's frustrated, because it does create an entire rat's nest for you to deal with. Like we've said, players see that, players' family members see that, agents see that, and they go, hey, what's up with this depth chart here, yada, yada, yada. On the other hand, as someone who works in the media and as someone who kind of, like you said, gets paid by impressions, there's not a lot to write about right now. Like I feel like we're grasping at straws for content to write each day. And so it does make sense as to why, hey, I'm going to go to this practice and be able to get a roster sheet out. That's going to do numbers for it. I understand both ways.
Here's how I approach this, and here's how we approach this at the University of Georgia, and at least with our on SI coverage. All right. When we go to practice and we produce practice observations, those are notes on what we saw. All right. So it should say rotation during whatever, right? If we're out here putting out rotations, it's rotations during indies, which on our network, we understand football, which means it's a lot of the old guys. It doesn't mean that's how the rotations are actually with regards to a depth chart. So yeah, I get why he's frustrated. And I understand why the media guy's doing what he's doing there as well. Just, I think context is important when you report those things, or else you're going to get the coach pissed off.
And it's also, I hate to do this as well, this is why there's such a disconnect in the relationships between coaches and the media. It's why we always kind of, jokingly talk about, man, Kirby Smart really doesn't like us, but stuff like this is why coaches' relationships sour very quickly with you. And vice versa can go the same way around. Like if you cut down on media availabilities and you do certain things, as a result of what we might have just seen, you're going to, have a disconnect between. I think there is a disconnect between media and coaches, but honestly, you don't really need the media as a coach. You do need the coach as the media.
I was just about to get into a discussion how we live in a different world. Okay, we cover a football coach who year 2 played for a national title. He doesn't need the media.
Nope.
He doesn't. A guy who's a year and a half removed from a 7-5 season with an NFL quarterback in Spencer Rattler and just went 9-4. He might one day need the media. You see what I'm saying? We live in a dystopia down here we're at the school we cover. So we understand when the coach is like, y'all ain't getting no access. We'll give you 15 players, all that good stuff, but you ain't coming to practice. You definitely aren't like at Tennessee, bro. They get to interview prospects when they're on campus. Are you kidding me? That would never happen at the University of Georgia because that guy gets to do what he wants. At some of these other programs, it's totally different. So we have a very different understanding of how media and college football relations work everywhere else. It's total open doors most of the time.
But I don't even know if it's necessarily that, because you think about it, we've got media. You can control your media narrative a little better as a coach now. 15 years ago, you couldn't really do one-on-one interviews with guys like Josh Pate. You couldn't have your social media team posting Twitter videos of you doing full house clips, stuff like that. Like, you can kind of control the narrative. You can control the narrative more than ever as a head coach in your media realm because you have all the access to these things. Whereas 20, 30 years ago, you did need the media on your side. It's not that much of a factor this way anymore.
It's a great point right there. USC on an absolute tear right about now. I don't know if you've seen this. In the last month, okay, first of all, they have 21 commits in the class of 2026.
That's a lot right now.
It's a lot.
That's a lot right now.
I know where the chat already wants to go with this. I know where you're going to go with this. I know where everyone's going to go with this. I know where I'm going to go with this. It's April. Show me in December type vibes with Lincoln Riley and USC recruiting. I understand they go on a tear early summer, early spring. It seems every summer. Can't seem to hold the momentum through the fall football season. Can't seem to hold the momentum all the way through signing day. However, they have 21 commits in the last month. They've had 10 guys pop into this class, some of which are really, really big football players. And here's what I like about this. They understand I think they've learned their lessons. Okay, in the last several classes, when they get beat on this momentum trail, they out here messing around recruiting the state of Georgia, out here messing around recruiting the state of Florida, out here messing around recruiting the Southeast. Okay, Most of this is coming from Cali. Most of this is coming from Texas, okay? Most of this is coming from Utah. So, like places where they got strong footholds, where I don't think they're going to lose a lot of this momentum that they got going on. To save you the full rundown on this, Kirby, it's a 4-star defensive lineman out of Texas. It's a 4-star running back out of California. It's a defensive lineman that they beat Oregon out of in a recruitment battle for out of Mater Dei. All right, these are battles and recruiting grounds that this ain't like they got to battle Georgia late and kids got to come clear across the country late in the year and probably ain't going to come back on a visit. These are kids that they're probably going to have ties to throughout the remainder of the recruitment process. It's a different vibe right now at USC than even I know. Like normally I'm one to be like, all right, show me later, but these are grounds that they might be able to keep.
It's definitely the right time to have all the recruiting momentum that you do, especially given the way your 2024 season went. I feel like you have the least amount of momentum you've ever had coming off of a season. So to build up this type of momentum is really, really good for Lincoln Riley, a guy that has kind of been notorious for can't really recruit defensive players, is only an offensive-minded guy. Is only made by his quarterback. He's kind of going and seeming like he wants to defy these. The biggest question is now, can he do it? And I know that we have our reservations about whether or not he can, whether or not he can even hold on to this momentum that you have. It's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon for these types of guys. And, we've talked about how yesterday, the longer you're committed to a school, the more expensive it's likely going to get to retain that player and get them to sign the dotted line. But at the end of the day, if you're a USC fan right now, if you're a Lincoln Riley fan, if you're someone who follows that school, they're doing things that are everything right for them. To have 21 kids in this class right now, they're probably not going to sign more than 27 to 30. So the fact that you have your class about 60 to 70% of the way full is a really good sign. And not just that, it's quality kids. Like you said, you're beating out guys like Oregon. You're going into Arizona. You're going into Utah and getting some of the best players in those states while seemingly building a stronghold around Southern California, something that they haven't done in 10 years, it feels like.
And Kirby doing it ball out. Like 6 of these 10 in the last month have been off or line of scrimmage football players. Offensive lineman, defensive lineman. Even the 3-stars, 6'7", 330, in-state. Okay, these are things that we applaud other programs for consistently doing on this network. I'm just saying, I think this is a football coach based off what he is doing, the moves that he is making, the coaches that he's hiring, the people that he's paying, the decisions that he's making, the style of play that they had last year, okay? This is a football coach, in my opinion, based off the actions, Kirby, that has listened to everyone make fun of him and point to his flaws and say, okay, maybe have some self-realization about them and addressing those flaws. So you got to applaud it when it's happening. Now, I'm with everybody else. I'm with the chat. I'm with you. Show me. Show me come December. Don't tell me. I'm with the chat. I understand that. We still got to sit here and point to it because it is a tremendous momentum moment on the recruiting trail for USC and an important time to do so. They've got OVs with guys that like other big programs got going on. Like they're going to get a sit down with Mark Bowman. They're going to get a sit down with this Fryer kid that we're going to talk about, or Dyer kid that we're going to talk about in a little bit in the local hour. They're going to get sit downs with big time football players in this 2026 class, and they seem like they got momentum.
If I had to say right now, it's what is it, April 8th?
Yeah.
Does it work? Do we sit here a year from now and go, the recruiting momentum paid off, Lincoln Riley had a really good season, they did good things in the Big Ten? Are we saying he might be on the hot, or he might be fired if he doesn't? Yeah,
I think even a 7-5 with the top. I think right now with 21 commits in April 8th, I think right now we can kind of go ahead and shoe in solid pencil. Like we can go over it twice. USC is going to finish with a top 10 class. Is that fair?
I don't think it's unfair to say. I mean,
so we're going to go ahead and pencil them in a top 10 class. We think they're going to have a 7-5, 8-4 season, bare floor. Maybe they're a 9-3 football team in the Big Ten this year. Who knows? I haven't even gone that deep into the schedule. Okay, and then we're already looking towards Hassan Longstreet. That is not a recipe for we're firing our football coach. By the way, don't even get me into a buyout discussion with Lincoln. I still think it's north of 40.
Yeah, I mean they're not going to fire.
They're not firing the guy. So I think these are pointing up signs. I think if anybody watching USC last year noticed, wow, noticeable defensive improvement, noticeable like line of scrimmage improvement. They're a tougher football team. They make more open field tackles than they have in years prior under Lincoln. The areas of wow, this is not a national championship caliber roster. This is where you're bad. I saw improvements in it. It's all dependent upon the quarterback play, though. I saw signs from Jaden Maeva. I saw signs from Hassan Longstreet. We'll see what the rest of the roster looks like moving forward. But it's recruiting momentum in a time where you got to point to it. We already talked about the Shane Beamer stuff. Hey, man, this Mario Cristobal quote, am I tripping or was this weird? Now, we had this discussion last night.
We did.
About the media helping out the coach or the media helping out the subject that he's interviewing here. But we probably don't need to start answers with our quarterback coming off of elbow surgery with "I don't know." But that's where we started. This is a direct quote from Mario Cristobal, an update on Carson Beck. Obviously, for those uninitiated, cough, bless you, cough. For those uninitiated, Carson Beck tore his UCL ligament. That is also known as the Tommy John ligament in baseball. Okay, had the Tommy John surgery. Set to throw a football on air in July. That's the last update we got publicly. This is Mario Cristobal speaking today. Quote, "I don't know. I know he's throwing some other things. He's doing some other rehab contraptions, those balls or whatnot. And it's right there. We feel great about it. He's taking part not only in walkthrough, but also in team drills and allowed to hand the ball off for every progression. Relentlessly watching film, excited about him. I think you know what I'm saying. We're getting there. We won't throw in the spring game." So, just you can no comment. Going through rehab, you can be real quick here. We don't have to do the whole, because look, if I were a Miami fan, not even a fan, if I were a booster that was contributing to the $4.5 million price that has been reported, I would want to know a whole lot more than my coach told me I don't know.
When you say he's doing these contraptions or balls and whatnot.
Yeah. We should have a little bit more of a detailed thought process on the rehab of our $4.5 million quarterback. All I'm saying.
And if you don't have to say anything.
Bingo.
Kirby Smart hits you over the head with so-and-so has a insert body part that is injured. We hope to get them back soon.
He got an arm thing.
That's all you get. If you have a grade 1 ankle sprain at the University of Georgia, Kirby Smart will say, yeah, player X has an ankle. We hope to get him back soon. That's it. Mario Cristobal could do the same thing. It's not as sexy. It probably doesn't give boosters what they want. It probably doesn't really spice up things for the media. And again, maybe you have to keep a good relationship with the media. Like we talked about, you don't have this luxury like a Kirby Smart or a Nick Saban did or such like that. But still, if you're going to give them something, make sure it's quality.
When a Miami fan finds us and listens to this segment, they're going to listen to two Georgia guys is what they're going to think that related to straight to Georgia. We got a segment coming up with Alabama that Kalen DeBoer has clearly figured out the power of coach speak. You say a whole bunch that doesn't mean a whole lot. All right. So all Mario had to do is go to that microphone and say he is attacking rehab relentlessly. He is going through film relentlessly. We are excited to get him back. Boom, bang, bomb. End of story. And look, I don't think this Miami beat reporter, whoever transcribed this quote, I do not think they helped him out very much. Because I don't know if you read the quote, but they put ellipsis in here, which means they are clearly letting the reader know that the coach is out here stammering through his words. So, moving forward, if we got a $4.5 million player, we even got to make him a quarterback. If we got a $4.5 million player on the roster who is going through extensive rehab, and you get asked a question, coach, anywhere, he is attacking the hell up out of rehab. We can't wait to get him back. Man, what a film savant he's been over the last month. We all got it?
Yeah, and which by the way, is basically what he said in a more concise way that leaves no room for interpretation or room for does he actually know what he's talking about? You're reacting to your phone like
just random phone calls in the middle of live shows. Now, I don't expect like everyone in my life to know what the schedule is, but everyone in my life should know what the schedule is. Don't hit me up at 8 to 10 o'clock. You should be watching right now.
Is it an important phone call?
It is.
Do you need to take it?
No. It's not that important. I mean, West Coast guy too, so I can call him back at like 2 o'clock in the morning tonight. He'll be good.
Dropping a little hint there.
Yeah, a little live nug right
Is that the next pilgrimage location?
Nah, we're done. I think we're done with pilgrimage. We got high school football pilgrimage going on.
Oh yes. When's that? Do you have the dates released for that tour yet?
Yeah, we're gonna start. We're gonna start into this month. I mean, shit, like 20 days. Not even that. I think first practice I saw on the schedules that I've been checking was April 24th. I think it's a Monday. So I think the week of April 24th, I'm going to be getting after it. We're going to be all over the place. I think we need to tie in Zooms because I can actually call you guys during college football pilgrimage. I don't want to be Zooming you from any place because our chat's crazy with regards to how well they are in terms of finding where I'm at. So I didn't want to give any tales there. But if I'm FaceTiming you from house to county, who gives a damn? You know what I mean? Mm. So I think I'll just be calling you in during that pilgrimage, that high school pilgrimage. But back to this Carson Beck thing, man. Like, there's ways to address the health of our really expensive player other than I don't know.
And I mean, maybe the question was, do you know when you're getting Carson back? Is there a timeline for? And you can still say I don't know. That's fine. I do think that whoever this reporter is probably didn't do did a disservice in just leading with I don't know. I don't necessarily think Mario Cristobal is in the complete dark of it, but it's not a good read. It's very clearly not something that it paints the Miami program in a great light. So that's all it is.
You know what doesn't paint you in a very good light? Christian Kirby.
Being stinky.
I mean, when you out here just stanking it up, that's not a good place to be. Body odor. Got to stay away from it. Okay, that is a plague. All right, and the best way to stay away from it, our friends over at Mando. Mando's starter pack is the perfect thing for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, deodorant that also comes in a tube, 2 free products of your choice.
Say it by its name.
They got cream tube deodorant, Christian Kirby. 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes. We got the deodorant wipes here in the studio.
They're in the bathroom.
Yep, they are. As special offer for listeners as well, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. This equates to over 40% off your starter pack today if you use promo code FGN at shopmando.com. That is SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we are the ones who sent you. If anyone ever wonders why I drink as much caffeine as I do, it is so I bring the juice on those reads right there. That's why I do it. Not so I can be elite at my job, so I can be elite at those damn reads. Shout out to Mando. Shout out to FGN. Shout out to you guys for listening today. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, okay? If you haven't already, go ahead and hammer that thing down. Christian, what did you feel? Now, I know I didn't give you a bunch of time, but what does it feel like working for a guy who texts you 15 minutes before you go live saying, hey, you got the open?
Honestly, I was kind of like, ooh. This is new. I'm excited for this. Yeah. It's something that I don't think has there ever been a time when it's just been...
Just a solo show?
Yeah, just a solo. Obviously, you've had your solo shows, but I don't think Jay Will's ever ran cameras by himself. I don't think... Obviously, that was my first time, so I was kind of like, we're hitting new territory here. It was fun.
New nerves.
And I was just like, this is perfect. I can play that. I beat the bum allegations.
Yeah.
But that didn't last very long. You walked down literally 10 seconds after we went on air. So
you know what the hardest thing about doing solo shows is?
There's no feedback.
No feedback, which leads into the hardest part. Layering any type of comedy, which I feel like I probably try a little too hard to make sure that this show has moments of laughter because it's 2 hours. And during the season, it's 15 hours. It's 20 hours. So for an audience member, I want them to chuckle. Doing solo comedy was impossible. Because you have no feedback at all, except for the chat. And the chat's on a 13, 14, 15-second delay for even what you're trying to land. So that can be a little bit tough. Speaking of tough, Coach DeBoer being tough on him.
Oh, boy.
Coach DeBoer being tough on him this offseason. Now, before we get into this actual article from ESPN, which I don't know if you noticed in ESPN's coverage strategy, but ESPN college football writing right now seems to be like, hey, we're going to travel the country and hit pub pieces at every stop. Is that what you're getting?
Yeah, I mean,
the vibe that that's what you're supposed to be doing.
You gotta get people to read them.
Gotta get people to read them. So the latest pub piece we talked about last time was Texas Tech. This new pub piece, Alabama. And I think it's kind of hitting on what we've been talking about on this show for about 8 months now. About they didn't practice necessarily very hard last year. Okay, they went from the world's biggest disciplinarian, understandably, by the way. This is not a criticism. They went from the world's biggest disciplinarian, Nick Saban, who is the definition of a hard ass, to a guy who gonna pat you on the ass and say, "Great job, son," every day when you walk through the door. It's a total different change. And now we're seeing more of a turn back to an actual disciplinarian, a guy who's going to hold you accountable, the kind of stuff that you need. Now, the quote that I pulled out, Kirby, that I think is the most important thing from this article, which is titled Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer having a, quote, harder edge in year 2. okay, on ESPN. This is the quote, and I think this is the most important one. It was more that we were in retention mode, DeBoer told ESPN on Monday. I wouldn't say we slacked off on any of the things that would need to be the standard of what we need to do or how we need to operate. This is a sentiment that I have heard. That, look, man, they were a brand new staff walking into a very blue chip laden roster. You don't go in there being a hard ass. You don't go in there trying to set the tone, because what you're going to do is open the door for people to leave your place.
Yeah, you can't walk into the meeting room and say, I got a Louis bag coming. You can go ahead and get the hell out.
Not at Alabama.
No, you can't do that there. Not with that talented roster. And we understood it as well. Like, you couldn't come in and try to set the tone. It was going to take some time for this culture to be set from Kalen DeBoer. You had, 17 seasons of Nick Saban, a hard, authoritative, this is how it's going to be, it's my way or the highway, and it paid off for him, and it cemented that culture. But when Nick Saban leaves, you have to go build something else. It wasn't going to take place in a season. We knew that. That's not to go out without saying that there were some things last year that need to change, and it's good to know that he's recognizing that and doing so.
Straight from a player's mouth here. This was added into the ESPN article, which you should go give a read. This is from Deontay Lawson, obviously the veteran linebacker who I am surprised returned. Had a big injury towards the end of the year, I think. Maybe that is part of the reason why he didn't go into the draft process, but that's an NFL football player returning for another year. Obviously, they lost Jahad Campbell. Quote, it was kind of hard for him to come in and be the bad cop or whatever last year. He's still laid back and still wants to be the players to lead, but his fingerprints are on everything now, and he's made it known that you better be locked in. I like hearing that. I think a lot of the year two stuff that I hear out of Alabama is good news if you're an Alabama fan for me, especially at the quarterback position. I think this is actually going to look like Kalen DeBoer's offense. I think Crimson Tide fans got to see the best that they could put together of a Jalen Milroe system, but the Kalen DeBoer system is a full field progression, attacking offensive or defensive concepts through the passing game, and you have to understand defensive concepts, and you have to understand how we are attacking them, and you have to be on the same page with the coordinator. And not to mention year two, they get Grubb back. Those two do not work very well apart from one another. I think that's what their history has kind of shown. So I think you're going to see a much better offensive team in year two under Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, I mean, not to do the thing that's already been done a million times. Go look at what Nick Saban's first year was at Alabama. It wasn't great. They went 7-5, lost to UL Monroe. I'd say that's the equivalent to losing to Vanderbilt.
And that was an inverse, right? We go from kind of a laid back environment to now Nick Saban's coming in and he is breaking backs his first year. And that's what you're talking about. Some of that up and down inconsistencies.
They won the West his second year. Like, it was a complete turnaround after that. So the things that you see, that year two method, like, yeah, we're a year three program around here, and we talk about year three is really the year where you see it. The great coaches make it work in year two. Nick Saban went to the SEC championship in year two, lost to a Florida team that eventually won the national championship. Kirby Smart went to the national championship in year two. Like, there's this year two turnaround that you see from the elite of elite coaches. So Kalen DeBoer could absolutely be this. I mean, he did it at Washington.
Yeah. We have an Alabama fan in the chat, Peasy, saying, I understand the culture change issue. I still don't see that as an explanation for the Oklahoma game. I do. I see that as an explanation for the ups and downs, right? I think just 14 days before the loss to Oklahoma, you beat the hell out of LSU on the road. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
I was like right after one another. Same thing. You beat Georgia and come out looking in that game great. 7 days later, you lose to Vandy. This ups and downs is an explanation or a result of your coach not coming in every single day and harping on and holding to the standard. Like, it is such a coaching cliche, but it is such a reality. Like, if you are not constantly harping on we need to get better, then you are constantly going to have ups and downs. This is what they're getting back to, right? It's right there in the quotes, right? His fingerprints are on everything now, and he's made it known. You better be locked in. You better be locked in all of the time, or else you're going to have these ups and downs no matter how talented your roster is. I think it is an explanation, or at least a reason for the outcomes that you saw last year.
Yeah, and there's a really good quote from the article that kind of outlines this, what they're doing. He says, we're comfortable calling out each other now because our relationships are stronger and we know what we all want the same thing. I feel like now we're closer to having alignment between staff and players and having the right people here. Everyone has an appreciation for what each other brings to the table. So it seems like everything is on the... Now, again, we just talked about this. This could be coach speak. Yeah. This could be a puff piece. This could be, smoke and mirrors. Just like, hey, everything's great. Nothing to see here. And there's a complete dumpster fire behind you. I would like to think that things are going very well at Alabama right now, and they're going to turn it around.
We got more elite coach speak right here. We got more. This is from Ryan Grubb. I think they went through a whole class this offseason. Not that DeBoer had clickbaity quotes last year, but I stopped reading DeBoer transcripts. I read all of the SEC coaches' transcripts that we talk about and that we cover just to see what they're talking about, get an update feel for their football team. Josh Heupel's King Coach Speak says nothing. Kalen DeBoer takes the crown in this conference. Like, at least Kirby's going to give you something. Like, there's going to be something in every single Kirby Smart press conference that can be ran on SEC Network. Not at Alabama right now. Kalen DeBoer is giving you absolutely nothing. Every quote reads the same. All right, but this is the same thing from Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb asked about the quarterback competition. What do you think, after telling you that they are expert coach speakers, what do you think Ryan Grubb's out here? We freeze?
No, I just realized I haven't been recording for a podcast.
It's all good. It's not all good, but it's all good. That's way better than it freezing. What do you think, when asked about the quarterback competition, what do you think Ryan Grubb said? If you could predict it.
We have insert number of guys that we have on the roster that could compete for spot. They're doing all really great things. They do some things differently than one another, and we're really excited to have them, and we're excited to see how this quarterback battle can go. And by the way, I did not read this quote.
You did?
I saw you send it in, so I'm not even trying to paraphrase. I legitimately think that's just what it's going to be.
I mean, it's bang on, basically. I think we've got 3 really, really good quarterbacks. And I mean that. All right, first of all, when you have to tell us that it's like, with all due respect, and that ain't worth a velvet painting of a whale and a dolphin getting it on. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're telling them right here. I don't think anybody has separated, Christian. They're all playing good. They're not playing great yet. Oh. You're looking for the guy that's going to be consistent, that can show up and be the same and make the same plays all the time.
Wow.
This is how you do it right here, man. This is expert coach speak. This is how you do it.
Yeah, you tell them you tell them everything and nothing at the same time. Just enough to where, and I've noticed this as a journalist, as long as the quote's big and meaty, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of characters in here, this is a good quote.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything, just keep throwing words at them. A lot of fun guys, and I mean it. A lot of things that they could do. They're going to play. We're looking for them to play great. They're playing good right now. All that kind of stuff works perfectly in their favor. And it's Coach Speak 101. Say everything and nothing at the same time.
While we're on Alabama and the idea of coaches, how about Nick Saban? First year into television, up for an Emmy.
Congratulations. I honestly...
By the way, don't think... I'll probably do this until I'm in my 80s, or until someone runs me off the air, or we just don't have any viewership. But I don't think I'll ever be up for an Emmy.
I don't say that, man.
I mean, if you don't bully SEC teams, doesn't win me an Emmy, what's going to win me an Emmy?
I mean, you're a gamer of the platform then, and like they throw out Emmys a good bit, I'm pretty sure.
Do they?
I don't know. I don't watch them, honestly. But no, I did not expect Nick Saban to be this successful in the position he was in. I thought that Nick Saban, in my opinion, was always someone who's been kind of very monotone, very dry, very just matter of fact. I was like, how is this going to work?
Like they paint him in the Verbo commercials.
Exactly.
That's what I thought Nick Saban was all the time.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you can't recruit at the rate that he did, being a constant curmudgeon.
No, we should have known better.
Yeah.
But he pleasantly surprised me this year on game day. He added a expertise to that and kind of a behind the curtain. And by the way, showed a little personality that I think made us all appreciate him more as a coach. Mm-hmm. Like everyone, like we just talked about, Nick Saban was always the dry, very, very unfun. But some of the one-liners, some of the quips he made, it's like, oh, wait a minute, this guy's just like a legitimately funny person.
I know I feel like every time we bring up College Game Day or College Game Day's set gets brought up on this network, I feel compelled to let the people know that we get to go behind stage every time we go.
Yes.
But you really do get to see these people in a different light when you actually get to watch them work with their colleagues. I know there's a lot of conjecture on the internet as to whether or not he likes Pat McAfee. You've been there. I think it's very clear that he actually does enjoy the goofiness that guy is. And that guy is that way all the time, by the way. He is 100% that persona, that personality.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee is that all of the time. It is not an act. He is 100% on 12 at all times.
I mean, we can tell the story of when we were in Austin, of when they were wearing the chaps and the cowboy hat. I mean, first of all, it was like 80 degrees out there. Pat comes off the stage, off the back end, because the stage is backwards. When you come off of it, you're like facing us. Comes off, he's sweat dripping from his forehead. He's getting help taking everything off. And he looks at you and me. And I don't know if he recognizes us or not, but he goes, "Hey team, how's it going?"
Yeah.
He just keeps walking. We're just like, all right, that was Pat McAfee. That's pretty cool. But that's how he is the whole time. And you see Nick Saban and Pat McAfee banter back and forth on air and off air, and they're talking about things. So if Nick Saban doesn't like Pat McAfee, he is so professional to the fact that they can have conversations off air, they can chuckle, they can do certain things, and it's all kind of just a ploy that, you know, the internet thinks they don't like each other.
My favorite part is watching Kirk kind of run the whole show without anybody knowing he's running the whole show. There's one person on that desk that's talking to the producer the entire time. It's Kirk. And there's one person in between commercials helping Pat McAfee lead into the next one. It's Kirk. There's one person talking to Saban and giving him encouragement after the show. It's Kirk. So, like, I know that, and this happens to people when they start covering your team a lot more. ESPN has and ABC has the SEC contract now. So you're hearing Kirk every Saturday afternoon and every Saturday night more and more often than you ever did. Used to, it was the biggest game of the year or the biggest game of the week. That's the one you heard. All right, but you're constantly hearing him now. So I think there's been a bit more disdain for Kirk, at least in our circles, than ever before. But we get to watch him in a different light, and I've enjoyed watching that the last couple of years, especially. You don't get to see him as much, but watching him work with Coach Corso as well, that's been really fun over the years, having grown up on that show as everyone else has. This is just a really well-paying job for Nick that he's really good at right now.
And it seems to enjoy.
It seems to enjoy. It's pretty clear to me. Everyone's pointing to him. It's not just media people pointing to him. If there is a Super League, he will be the commissioner. I don't think there's any doubt from the people that I talk to. There's no doubt in my mind. They'll just anoint him the commissioner of a Super League when it happens, if it happens.
I mean, that's another. We could finish the show with that discussion alone. I don't know if you want to, but
I don't really want to. Then I don't think our audience wants us to. I don't think anyone cares. That's the craziest. I talked to a person in the media today in the media room, waiting around for media availability. Someone who's in our industry, that, like, as I'm talking to him about House versus NCAA, first of all, I can see the look of this is news to him.
Right.
I can also, about 90 seconds into the conversation, realize that he has now lost interest, just like our audience does. And you can tell him it's the biggest thing in the world. And you can tell him that if this ever gets finalized and if this settlement ever comes down, that the world of college football, as you know, it will change. But people don't. It doesn't matter. With that being said, Zach Arnett suddenly resigning from UNLV.
Yeah, this was interesting. Now, for those who forget, Zach Arnett was the head coach of Mississippi State in the wake of Mike Leach's passing. Was there for 2 years, I believe, before he was fired.
About 18 months.
Yeah, defensive-minded guy. Was then hired by other former Mississippi State head coach Dan Mullen to be the defensive coordinator for UNLV.
After making a stop at Ole Miss.
Correct. That's right. And then all of a sudden, he was hired in December of 24, and now he's stepping aside for personal reasons. Those reasons were not disclosed, nothing of the sort, but it is interesting timing. If it's something serious, you wish for the best for Zach Arnett, but this kind of reminded me of something, and I want the takeaway of this to be that for as much of Dan Mullen being kind of a big figure in college football, and he's not the biggest, he's not Nick Saban, he's not one of these guys. Dan Mullen going over to a UNLV team that, by the way, could have made the playoff this year, taking over that, has gotten no traction in the media whatsoever. Like, when I read this, I was like, oh, shit, that's right. Dan Mullen's a UNLV coach this year. Why do you think that is?
Dan Mullen was in the news recently. UNLV is so broke, they might not be able to pay his $26 million contract.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not saying this is why Zach Arnett is leaving this job at UNLV. It is personal reasons. Let's leave it at that. But the last topic that I saw UNLV pop onto my timeline for was the fact that they are so cash stricken right now, they don't know if they're going to be able to pay Dan Mullen's full contract. So that's the talking point I had about this, is that he does have a $26 million contract. They don't know how they're going to pay the end of it. So I'm assuming that's what you just Googled. Did you find that?
I don't have time to read it all, but that is interesting.
We are experiencing a time where these mid-majors are really cash stricken, and they're basically being told, if you don't have $20.5 million annually to pay your athletes, we don't know how you're going to compete with us. There's a lot of panic going on. And then there's a lot of places like South Florida where they're like, you know what? $340 million gamble.
New stadium.
We're
going to get into the...
Let's take a $200 million loan from the bank.
Sacramento State's trying to buy their way into being a FBS team.
All we need is one big booster who cares a lot about football to give us $63 million out of nowhere.
It's interesting. It's a new age, but it was kind of an interesting topic.
What is this Grambling State note that got into the show notes? What is
so
this?
Grambling State's Mickey Joseph was talked about, obviously these mid-majors are being affected in more negative ways than positive when it comes to the transfer portal. If you're a good player at a mid-major school, you're likely going to transfer out just because the economic opportunities are not there for you. Mickey Joseph was kind of asked about that and, what you do to mitigate that, or how do you feel about the situation, and gave this quote, one that was very interesting. Coaches have been doing it for years in reference to leaving and going elsewhere for better opportunities, so we shouldn't get mad as coaches when these kids make decisions to take care of their family. But I also think there needs to be a buyout. If they move up from me and go to a group of 5 or Power 5, I think I should get some kind of compensation. So NCAA, if you're listening to me, I need a buyout.
He wants a finder's fee? He wants a finder's fee.
And I mean, I get it that the money that you're losing out on, these players are going elsewhere, but here the problem is there's no binding deals in an NIL market right now. There's not an official sign on the dotted line, this is how much money we owe you, it's what you're worth. It's all handshakes and things like that. So it's why you hear about so many times of players not getting what they were promised. I mean, we've heard numerous stories of, I was told I was going to get all these things on right here, and that's why I transferred out. But the reality is that where is this money going to come from if you're getting a buyout?
This is Grambling State. This is HBCU. My understanding of HBCU coaches, they normally stay a whole hell of a lot longer at those universities than most of these mid-majors. Okay, so I don't want to blanket this about Grambling State's head coach. But this type of approach of, I need a kickback, or, hey, y'all are pillaging my roster, where's my love? That type of vibe comes from a lot of these mid-major coaches that I've talked to and that I visit. And there's multiple different mindsets here, right? There's, to hell with that, I'm trying to keep the guys on my roster as long as possible. And then there's the other side of the argument where a lot of these coaches are looking at this as, if I sign you out of high school and you leave my program in 2 years to go make $500,000 at Ohio State, I'm telling the next kid that I find on the recruiting trail that I just did that for a kid. You see what I'm saying? Using it as a tool, using it as a recruiting device. We get kids up out of here that are underdeveloped or overlooked, right? So I don't know how I would look at it, but here's what I want to say to those mid-major coaches. We all know you got a 2-year plan too. Again, that's why I said this about HBCU coaches. They are loyal to that program. They normally stick around for whatever reason it is, but these mid-major coaches at the Furmans of the world, they all want to get out too. They all want to go coach at Georgia. They all want to go coach at Alabama. They all want to go coach at Florida. Okay, so they all have 2-year plans too. They'll tell you straight up, if I'm here in 2 years, I probably didn't win. We didn't win. So they're all trying to get up the ladder too. So I think it's a little bit not backhanded, but it's a little bit disingenuous when some of these mid-major coaches start to complain about their players leaving. We all know you want to leave too.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what he alluded to in this. It's like, we can't get mad at these players for wanting to leave, but there's some financial burden that there has to be done with it. And I get it, but
I would have liked to quote a whole hell of a lot more if he was like, hey, if you come steal a player from my program, give my program a kickback.
Yeah.
Give not me. It sounded like when he said that, it's like, I want a finder's fee.
Yeah, that seems,
like, give me a pay raise.
I'm sure he meant like, give us the money,
give us something. And I'm with the coach on that.
Basically plucking a player out of our roster. We should get a player's fee for that. It's never going to happen, but it's a realistic thinking.
Man, buyouts. Speaking of buyouts, how about you buy in? How about you buy in, audience, to some of the friends that are supporting us, like our friends over at Bird Dogs. All right. Big Bird Dogs fan over here. All right. Don't have them on today because I've been wearing them out. They in the washer right now. All right. But love what they got going on with the khaki shorts that they've sent over to the studio, as well as some of the pants that I've already purchased that are in the mail currently. For a limited time, our listeners can get a free hat with any purchase using the code FGN at birddogs.com. That's BIRDDOGS.com. Again, shout out to that completely free hat if you use promo code FGN at birddogs.com. Support our show and let them know that we sent you. Shout out to our friends over at Bird Dogs. It's a high-end, fabrics company. You know what I mean? That's good stuff going on. That ain't, your standard.
I don't think we have to send shots at any other sponsors we've had, but it is definitely one of the more recognizable brands that we've had on this show.
Big brand. What do you think is going to happen this weekend with some of these spring games? I know we talked about a lot of them last night.
Before we do that, we've got Greg Says season.
We have Greg Says?
We have Greg Says.
Oh, Greg McElroy. Man, I'm trying to reach Greg McElroy status. I am trying to reach the point where all the aggregate companies, you know who, I'm trying to get to the point where Brooks Austin says, whole article written about him.
Yeah.
That's where I'm trying to get. So what did Greg McElroy say today?
All right. I'm going to give you the topic, and I want you to name it. There's 4. So you just have to guess the 4.
One of the 4 topics.
No. I'm going to give you the topic. You have to guess the 4 teams.
Oh, okay.
Greg McElroy says that these 4 teams are CFP or bust this season.
Ooh. Show me Penn State.
No.
What? Greg McElroy's out of his mind.
It's teams.
Show me Oregon.
I'll say this. It's not teams that like.
He's putting burdens on people who aren't known as one of these shoo-ins.
Yeah, like teams that aren't necessarily shoo-ins, but are kind of hovering around that. So I'll let you go with that then.
I don't even know.
All right, the 4 teams are Clemson.
Okay.
Miami.
Okay.
Alabama. LSU.
This is such a random list.
It is a very interesting
because Clemson doesn't fit in there. Not based off the criteria that you just gave me. Right? Because if Clemson's in this list, Penn State should be in this list. Maybe like a Texas should be in this list. An Oregon should be in this list. But you give me Clemson, Miami, and 2 programs like Alabama, and who was the
LSU.
4th? And LSU.
Here's why I think you put Clemson in the list, because there has been a steady regression at Clemson since 2020. Like, they have increasingly seemingly gotten worse. And I think the only thing that really saved the 2024 season was the fact that Miami shit the bed on a 21-point lead against Syracuse, and you won the SMU ACC championship game by a field goal late. That got you into the playoff. That was kind of like hey, I was down here, but look, we made the playoff. We're a 9-3 team. We did that. If you don't make the playoff that year, like, the season was a complete failure. So I think even just the catalyst of having a successful season at all, you have to be a playoff team this year for Clemson.
I think with the quarterback situation and the weaponry situation, I think you are, and the way the ACC looks, you are positioned for a must make the playoff type of season. That being said, they finished the year pretty damn impressive. They gave Texas a far more impressive run than I expected them to do.
They absolutely did.
I thought Clemson had a good season last year. I don't think they were we don't make the playoff away from it being a failure.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I think we forget how out people were on Dabo Swinney after they got handled by Louisville at home.
It was the handling for Georgia that kicked it off, and
correct.
And everyone questioning the Roddy White comment about his athletes on the field. All that stuff started, and the towel from Spartanburg was last year as well, I believe.
I think it was 2 years.
Was that 2 years ago?
2 years ago now.
Okay, so, but yeah, the Louisville loss at home was kind of staggering. Like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And they were down early.
Yeah, and then you lost to South Carolina as well. Like, yeah. I don't think Clemson finished the year out. I think Clemson had a fine year, and I think it was really headlined by the fact that, hey, we made the playoff. I think if you don't make the playoff this year, you're going to have some issues.
They got a pretty tough schedule, don't they? They open with LSU.
It's not easy. I mean, it's not unbearable. But again, LSU is kind of irrelevant to them because you can still win the ACC.
I think they open with LSU and close with South Carolina.
They do.
That's tough. No matter what the ACC throws at you.
The LSU game's in Death Valley, by the way.
Hell yeah! Speaking of throwing it at you, we got a whole nother hour. coming up right now, and it is our local hour. Some people say it's our best. We'll see. Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a whole nother hour coming up to you guys right here on the Film Guy Network. If you have not already hit that thumbs up button, please feel free to do so. Those of you Georgia fans tuning in tonight, obviously there is a spring game this weekend. The best coverage will be on SI. My boy Kirby will be up in the box. He will be locked the F in. Okay, he will be locked in, hammering out all of our observations. I know most people won't be able to go in attendance and it won't be on television, so we'll have everything for you. Now, I do want to open tonight by letting you know on the local hour that I asked the most important question of the year.
I want to know what this is
in press conferences.
Because if it's the question I want to hear,
and it wasn't even during pressers.
You got one-on-one time with
This
Kirby?
was a pre-presser question.
Was it
okay?
Was it to Kirby or
No. This was to SID staff, and I think it's the most important question ever asked.
This is the one I want to know.
Okay, so obviously television not in town this weekend, not going to be on TV. Normally, as a credentialed member of the media, we get a list of do's and don'ts in terms of video. All right. Well, that comes straight from the TV departments because they own the footage. They don't want you out here streaming the game. They don't want you out here taking full videos of the plays and then putting them up on your YouTube channel. Ain't no TV unit. Ain't no TV station. So my question was, hey, I'm the film guy selfishly. Am I allowed to have my boy Christian up there with the damn tripod filming the spring game? Because why not? The ESPN ain't here. Ain't nobody going to set no rules on me. However, there going to be some rules. So we got rules coming. Y'all ain't going to get no video. Y'all going to get 90-second clips, tops.
I got to say, this is not the question I thought you were going to ask, but...
What'd you think I was going to ask?
I thought you were going to ask about the limp.
No, I didn't ask about the limp. He wasn't there today. We had 12 or 15 different players get thrown at us, but no coach today. I had to leave early. I only got like the first 4. Did
he not come at all, or was it just...
No. It was just players today. You know, one of those things, I don't think I read the email quite correctly. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, at least
I was going to show up anyways for them players, you know. Would you rather... We got a would you rather. How we play would you rather?
I got a would you rather for you.
Oh, you got my would you rather. What do you got for me here on the would you rather?
If you're a Georgia fan, would you rather be guaranteed that Kirby Smart coaches 20 more seasons, or have Larry Munson call the entire 2021 national championship season?
Oh, no. Give me selfishly, I cover the University of Georgia. Give me 20 years of Kirby Smart. We're going to buy a lake house off that dub.
Now.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe 10.
I mean, we might be able to fund some careers. You give me 20 years of averaging 10 wins a season and never having down years in this business, because if you win at that rate as a media member covering that team, you're always going to have up years. We pop a 7-5 midway through October, and ain't nobody reading. Bill's going to be hard to pay.
That's true.
So give me the 20 years of guaranteed winning. I made this comment in the media room the other day. Somebody made a comment about how things used to be with the media availability with Mark Richt. Everybody's like, that ain't never coming back. You know, we ain't never going to have that much availability. We ain't never going to have that much access to this program. And in my head, and I even said to a colleague next to me, I was like, yeah, but random 8-4, 7-5s ain't never coming back neither.
No, they're not.
You know what I mean? Like the consistency of winning at the University of Georgia right now is raises all tides.
I mean, the worst year you had your worst regular season since 2020.
Yeah.
And you won an SEC championship. You made a college football playoff. You're going to have 3 players drafted in the first round. Like, come on.
You know what's hard to sell? Recruiting intel when you're recruiting in the top 20. It's really easy to sell when you're in the top 5.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
When you're always in the top.
So, selfishly, give me the 20 years of winning. I love Larry as much as the next guy. But yeah, give me the winning. Let's go back to the desk right now and actually hammer out some of these news and notes. I like the wheel. I don't know if the chat likes the wheel, but I like the wheel.
The wheel is fun. I don't know anyone who doesn't like a wheel.
Yeah. You already got 10 years. We're heading into year 10 of Kirby. Is that right?
Time flies, man.
Whew. That's a long time. Long time at University of Georgia. Oh, that's an ESPN text message.
Oh, can we read it on air?
Nah, we can't. I want to expose my man.
Can you read it and not say who it is?
Every once in a while, I'll get a talent that has to say something about the University of Georgia, and they're not as glued in as some people that cover the University of Georgia on a day-to-day basis. So if I have a relationship with said talent, I have no bones about helping them out. Hey, this is what's been going on. This is where the team's at. This is their weaknesses, yada, yada, yada. Feel free to go on your nationally syndicated show tomorrow and regurgitate the takes.
Nice.
I think it's kind of like a pay it forward thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, as like it would be like being in the minors giving pitching tips on the guy who just came down for a rehab stint. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I got going on. So yeah, we got that going on. It's definitely not Jay Will texting me telling me he's watching the show, because that dude's on a boat somewhere not paying attention and damn sure not working.
Wi-Fi probably isn't good on the boats.
The Wi-Fi on the boat? Probably not.
I mean, there's no cell towers out there.
Nah. We did have some player availabilities today. You want some notes on this?
I would love to hear some notes.
I got 4 players. I got Ja'Cory Thomas, Noah Thomas, London Humphreys, and Cash Jones. Who you want first?
I kind of want to hear what Cash Jones has to say.
I'm glad you put me there.
The veteran in the room.
Now, remember, last year during the Texas week, Bill, I can't remember if it was the first time or second time, he hit a horns down at the end of the interview.
Downed him, yeah.
Went viral. First question today was, you ever doing anything like that again? He said, never would do anything like horns down ever again. Making sure not to do anything with my hands today. They're right here. And he grabbed the podium really, really tightly.
That sounds like someone got their ass chewed to me.
Oh, yeah. Said Kirby called him into his office and said, we won't be doing that anymore. So, yeah. I was asked about being the vet. He says, really cool, honestly, to see the new guys and really get to help teach them. You get to teach, or you get to help them learn about everything, and it makes it easier on me because I feel like I've been here so long that things have slowed down for me, and I can work on improving the smaller details of playing the position. I find this a lot in older guys. Helping teach a younger player clarifies the responsibilities a lot for you. So it allows you to play even more freer, and things slow down for you even more. That's the key to being that veteran football player, right? Learning from your experiences, and the game ultimately will slow down for you as well. Was asked about the walk-on ruling and the House versus NCAA thing. Any guesses on what his response was?
Cash Jones' response.
Yeah.
Probably very of it's not really going to affect me.
A lot of I don't know nothing about that. Yeah. A lot of I don't know nothing about that. He said, I remember at one point Georgia was walk on you. Honestly, I think they're trying to get a lot closer to the NFL. I don't really have an idea of what's going on there. Talking about the House versus NCAA settlement there. Transfer additions to the wide receiver room said they're both freak athletes. Super glad they're on our team. Noah's big and fast. Zach is a little smaller and a little faster. Was asked about Nate Frazier's improvement. Says improvement everywhere. He's going to be a dog. He already is a dog. He's a freak athlete. He's worked on ball security, alignment, and assignments this spring. He's going to have a heck of a year this year.
It makes sense, and I think that the ball security one is something that everyone's kind of been like, hey, that's the one thing if you could fix about Nate Frazier, fix that, and he's an elite running back. Not that he's not an elite running back now, but there were some inopportune fumbles last year that kind of made you go, God, there's that freshmanitis, I call it.
He did talk about Ryan Puglisi. I thought it was notable that 2 offensive players of the 4 that I listened to today talked about how quickly Ryan has digested the offensive playbook, said that now if a receiver has a question, they can go to Ryan and say, hey, what am I doing on this? Or what are we doing on this? And then Ryan immediately spits it back out. Said that him as I think this was Cash talking about him as a freshman, Cash as a freshman, not fully understanding everything, right? But Ryan already having a full grasp of what's going offensively. Is Travis Rice's name already on the board?
Oh, God. We need to start making a list.
We do. Who cares if they go on there twice? This is a good question from Travis. Now, every time this happens to me, it hasn't happened to me a ton, but when it happens to me in public, I normally think people are trolling me. But Travis wants to know at G-Day, excuse me, at G-Day, how he could get an autograph from the Brody. Here's my game day routine for anybody listening, all right? I will be camped out. Is that the west end zone, the one that's open? Is that the east end zone?
That's the east end zone.
I will be in the east end zone, standing by the goalpost at all times pregame. That is my spot. That's where I hang out. That's where I live. So, and I'll be walking around that back end. So if you walk up close to the hedges, you could probably holler at me, and I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. I still feel goofy signing autographs. I
haven't gotten an autograph.
I feel like people are trolling
yet.
You haven't got an autograph request yet?
No, and I'm kind of glad I haven't. I've got a couple picture ones.
Have you worked on it? Do you have an autograph?
Yeah.
I mean, I worked on mine constantly. That's all I doodled. I wasn't an artist, so when I doodled in class,
wall, actually.
Either way, when I doodled in class, I just signed my name over and over again. I just signed my signature. I also stole basically Ray Lewis's signature. I don't write my full name. I'm an initials guy.
You stole Ray Lewis's signature?
Yeah, I saw him sign.
I think that's illegal.
No. I mean the style. That's a silver pen, so it doesn't really work. I'm just a big B, a big T, and a big A guy. That's what I got going on.
Interesting.
Either way. But yeah.
Wait, hold up again.
So yeah, if you want to, no, we ain't got to do that. If you want an autograph, I feel weird.
Yeah, mine's on the board
that. If you
right
want an autograph, come get one. But yeah, either way, Cash Jones, a lot of retention of the offense from the redshirt freshman, Ryan Puglisi. Shout out to Travis Rice there. Shout out to anybody coming into town this weekend. We would have done a pregame show, but with the game kicking off at 1 o'clock, I didn't want to ask people to come to a bar.
1 or noon? I thought it was noon. I thought it was noon.
Noon or 1. Either way, didn't want to ask people to show up to a bar at 10 a.m.
No, and it's also
not that you would be unwilling to do so, but
it's also, what are we going to talk about
that we haven't already?
Yeah, we're at Tuesday now. It's kind of like, what else can we bring up about this spring game that we have no idea what's going to look like? I
think it's going to look like if I could have talked to Kirby today, if he was available, I would have asked him, what's the structure going to look like? Are you guys actually going to be practicing? Are y'all going to be scrimmaging? What is this? You know what I mean? What are we supposed to expect on Saturday? That's about it on Cash. Who you want next? You want Ja'Cory, Noah, or London?
Let's hear London. I've been high on London Humphreys this offseason. I want to hear what the boys got to say.
I have a daughter. When my daughter brings home a young man, he better answer questions like London Humphreys does. Very polite young man, tremendously polite.
How does London Humphreys answer questions?
So he starts everything off. Ask me a question.
How's practice been?
Yeah, he starts every answer with yeah. Yeah, so I mean, practice has been great. It's a lot of competition. We're going out there trying really, really hard.
That's yes, sir.
That is London Humphreys to a T right there.
Yes, sir.
Said he has a lot more confidence in the playbook. Also has a lot more connections with his teammates. There's a whole new enjoyment to what's going on this spring in my eyes. I play a lot more free.
Playing
free is important.
So here's the thing. I never heard the term playing free.
Really?
Until like Kirby Smart kind of coined it for me.
Really?
Maybe that's just me like being closed off to the world, but I feel like Kirby Smart.
You never played with a teammate who was clearly thinking about his responsibilities while playing?
Yeah, but
that's not playing free.
I know what it is, but I've never heard the term playing free.
Huh. That was a term I heard in my coaching or my playing career very, very early on.
Huh. I never heard that one.
You gotta study the playbook so we can get out there and play free.
But I pick up on it a lot.
Thinking.
Yeah, I pick up on it a lot more. I feel like every Georgia coach says. I feel like most of the time when we get young or veteran football players,
like a sore thumb on tape.
Yeah, and not even that. Just like saying, like I feel like I'm playing free a lot more. I didn't hear that before, so I'm glad to hear London Humphreys is doing that.
For me, last year, a player like Joseph Jonah and Jonye was still thinking through his responsibilities, whereas Quintavious Johnson was already playing free. You could see it on tape.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you hadn't heard that. Continuing on London, sounds like he wanted to get away from home. I've heard this from a couple of these transfers. I heard this from the long snapper that they gave us, the one from Stanford or from out west. He's from Stanford. either way. Said that he kind of like wanted to get away from California, like wanted to live away from home. Sounded the same thing from London. I mean, I know obviously Athens and Nashville aren't clear across the country, but it sounded to me like he kind of wanted to have life experience away from the city of Nashville. He committed to Vanderbilt having been a kid from Nashville.
Yeah.
So, staying a little too close to home. Some of these guys want to get away from home. Said, again, another one of these players that mentioned Ryan Puglisi's knowledge of the playbook. Landon Roldan said Landon's been great. He reminds me of himself when I first got to college. Great athlete with a lot of potential. And I don't know, he didn't slip up here, but he was asked about which defensive backs giving you the most problems or you faced the most this spring. I think this was because he followed Noah Thomas, and Noah Thomas mentioned that he seems to constantly be repping against Ellis Robinson during practice. When London was asked a similar question, he kind of alluded to the fact that when you play a lot of positions, you see a lot of guys. That led me to believe that London Humphreys is cross-training at multiple positions.
Really?
Yeah, because when you answer a question about which corner is giving you specifically the most difficulties today, and you answer with, when you're in a position where you play a lot of positions, you see a lot of different guys.
I'm not surprised by the theory.
You're surprised that he's playing a lot or playing a different positions.
It's not, no disrespect to London Humphreys. I just don't think that, the demand for the X position, like I don't think he necessarily fits. He's a Z. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could kind of fit him into the slot. He's got enough speed for it, but I don't see him taking reps at X ever this year. I'm with you. I see him more as a Z body type. Let's threaten you vertically out of the slot. Let's do stuff like that. I don't see let's isolate you on 3x1 X side. I'm with you. I see that with the other guys. I don't necessarily see that with London, but that right there confirms to me that in year 2 of the system, he's cross-training at multiple positions. I mean, it could also be that they're just trying to value, hey, we've got a Noah Thomas guy who hasn't really been with us, Colby Young, who was suspended from the program for, I think, 5 or 6 months, Dylan Bell, who we've said before we don't necessarily think is a true X. We also have this London Humphreys guy who is now going on month, 13 or 14 of being in our program. He's a reliable body type. Let's just see what he can do with the experience. I mean, it's weird to say, but London Humphreys is one of the more experienced wide receivers in that room in the Georgia Bulldogs stat. I mean, obviously Dylan Bell's been there for 4 years, but other than that, there's not a ton of people there that have been there longer than London Humphreys. So I guess it does make sense now the more I think about it.
And again, like all the scrimmage intel and all the practice intel, everyone that goes up there, I mean, the word security blanket was kind of used. Like when things break down, it sounds like Oscar Delp and London Humphreys are the guys that Gunner's kind of relying upon a lot during some of these competitive periods. So I expect, I'm not going to say a big year out of London Humphreys. I just think that it's important when you have a lot of guys that are specifically talented at something, right? Like we all think Zach Branch is specifically talented after the catch, specifically talented as a mismatch problem in the slot. We think Noah Thomas and Colby Young are specific mismatch problems because of their length and combination of speed, right? Well, London Humphreys kind of can do a lot of those things, and it's important to have one of those guys to be able to fill a lot of gaps.
Yeah,
at that position.
And that's good to have, especially in an offensive system where we said yesterday, there's a lot of specific talents. There's a lot of guys that have, niche talents. We went through the list yesterday. Having a guy that can kind of be a jack of all trades, and not only a jack of all trades, but excel at them wherever you need them to is extremely valuable.
All right, we got Joe. Both the Thomases left, Ja'Cory and Noah. Who you want first?
Give me Ja'Cory Thomas.
All right, been playing exclusively safety this spring.
So no star?
Exclusively safety this spring.
Do they count star as a safety position?
Yeah. So he started at star, and you could hear that in his press conference. I developed as a star and then moved back to safety. It sounds like this spring. I also thought the important thing here was he mentioned him, KJ, and Zion stepped up in a leadership role. He mentioned Zion as a leader in the safety room, filling the void of Malachi Starks and Dan Jackson when poised with that question. I thought that was interesting. That a guy he's competing with is a guy they're looking towards, him himself included, as a leader in the room.
It makes sense. I mean, all the inklings we have heard about both of the Branch brothers is they came in day one. They didn't assert themselves in a way, but they just took over. They're like, damn, these guys love working out. They're smart football players. They love the sport. This is exactly what you want at Georgia. So it makes sense. But it is interesting to know that someone you're kind of in a position battle with is deemed as a leader by their opponent.
And he was kind of asked about the idea of bringing in multiple. I mean, they brought 3 safeties in. There are guys that had played safety at previous spots into the room this year. And when that happens, you're going to get asked how you feel about that. And he said, I love this. I've been competing with everyone in the room since my freshman year. You're always going to have to compete.
Right.
So, like, especially a kid like Ja'Cory. I mean, Ja'Cory was a 4-star recruit out of high school that never had even played safety. I mean, he played wide receiver, played a little bit of linebacker, played some running back in high school, was a camp eval kid that they loved. From my sourcing, Muschamp fell in love with him at a summer workout. Within 3 weeks, he was a Georgia football commit. Gets to Georgia, starts cross-training at Star, and ultimately moves back to safety this spring, and has been a very serviceable practice player for them, and has played. I mean, he started last year, early on in the year before KJ came in.
He did, that's right.
He started the first game against Clemson in the nickel, and then KJ ultimately took over that role, and they kind of moved back and forth between Malachi and KJ in the nickel and safety spots.
And I think that's a really good mentality to have, because I know personally, if I got to a position where, hey, I've been in this program 3 years, we just had 2 NFL guys leave, it's my inside track to kind of be the starter here. I have the inside track. It's finally my time to shine. And my team goes out and pulls 3 guys from the transfer portal. Yeah, that would say to me personally, oh, they don't believe in me. They don't want me to start. They're looking for answers elsewhere. So to have that mentality and that maturity he's better than I, because I'd have been like, oh, you guys don't believe in me.
And here's why. They clearly talk to these kids about this. Now, not everyone takes adherence to the lessons and to the reality of it and the stats at this point, but said every safety that stayed here and played is either going to the league or in the league now.
Yeah. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with Kirby Smart.
I mean, the last 2 guys, JR's in the CFL, but you got to go all the way back to Richard and J.R. Reed back in 2019 that aren't in the league. Every other safety combination in the last 5 years is on a roster right now.
Correct.
Playing big-time football.
Damn. I mean,
J.R. and Richie's no longer on a roster.
And let's also,
and J.R.'s in the CFL.
Let's also be realistic, too. Like, J.R. and Richie are going on 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Like, they're not young NFL careers that didn't pan out.
Mm-mm.
Like,
I think J.R.'s going to get pension.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not to say that, oh, they didn't pan out. I mean, Dominic Sanders, I don't think worked out, but that wasn't a Kirby Smart guy.
Yeah.
Who was the corner opposite of Dominic Sanders? That was J.R. Reed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it totally makes sense that you look at that statistically. There's been about 8 starting safeties since the 2020 season, and they've all made some sort of career in the NFL. You can't say that about most anywhere else.
No.
What are you reading?
There's questions about where Mom's Basement's located. About 45 minutes outside of Athens. It kind of gives you a good little parameter of where we're at.
If this episode gets 300 likes, we'll drop the address.
We'll drop the Addy. Just kidding. So they got a lot of deep threats this year. Mention Elias Williams first. A lot of guys, the big bodies that can threaten you vertically. Followed it up with Noah Thomas and Colby Young.
That's not who
that sounds like a person who's been getting nabbed on by Elias Williams and kind of remembers it. Yeah, that's what that sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, when and it's always like when the guy that's younger than you makes plays on you, it always kind of sticks out to you. And now Elias Williams is a freak. He's what, 6'7", 6'8"?
Yeah, Jonathan swears he's 7 foot. Every time I hear Jonathan talk about him, he's like, that guy's listed at 6'6". There's no way. I'm 6'6". He dwarfs me.
Yeah, but it also, when that happens, it definitely stands out to you. But that's a good sign to hear from Elias Williams dunking on a guy who's battling for your starting position on one of the best defenses in the SEC. Like, we've heard numerous really good things about that tight end room. So to hear another one coming out makes you feel better about that.
Where were we at? Was asked about Adrian Maddox. Said he's very instinctive and a freaky athlete. Think he's going to help us a lot this year. Everything we've heard about Maddox is that he flashes, man. But it's just as many high flashes as negative flashes. So it's about consistency there from him. I'm trying to find. I saw a photo of Elias Williams from a screen grab of the video that they published, and I want to say he was nabbing on Ja'Cory in that video. Was asked about Zion. Said he's a big physical safety. We need big guys to come downhill and hit. Everything I've heard about Zion Branch sounds really, really good.
It sounds like Zion Branch is, and I don't want to, dox them or say that they had low expectations for him coming in, but it sounds like he has exceeded everything they thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
And
from a physical standpoint, especially.
Yeah.
They didn't know how healthy this football player was coming out of USC.
And that's not to say, obviously, that they were like, oh, this is just a body. This is a throwaway. He's an add-on because we really want Zachariah. But whatever expectation they had, he has exceeded that.
All right, on to Noah Thomas. Was asked what jumped out about Georgia in the transfer portal process. Said prestigious school, and Coach Coley used to coach me at A&M. Great dude, really genuine. Was asked about the transition and adjustment. Said it's been real great. The practice tempo has been tough. We keep it high energy. We're never just standing around. And then he mentioned that the pollen is, quote, crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, these West Coasters. These folks from Texas, these folks from Zachariah Branch was blown away by. I guess they ain't really got pollen like that out in the parts of Texas that Noah Thomas is from.
I'm going to tell you right now. I went home to Canton last weekend for my mom's birthday. Athens pollen is something else, dude.
Yeah, a lot of big trees in Athens.
It's insanity.
So the way I describe Texas to folks, this is where Noah Thomas is from. Texas is Georgia, just stretched out, like big time. Stretched out and turned up just a little bit. A little hotter out there. A
little dry.
But I think the reason the pollen is so consolidated in the state of Georgia is because the trees are consolidated. We ain't got a lot of open spaces in the state of Georgia unless you go south of Macon. You go south of Macon, south of McDonough, south of Warner Robins. You go down there, all farmland, okay? Texas is basically farmland, and then the metropolitans.
Right.
So I think that's why the pollen's a little bit crazier here.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, dude, it
ain't hit me this year. It ain't hit me like that yet. Now, my wife's so clogged up, she done got vertigo.
I heard about that.
Yeah. It's been a hectic time period around the Austin household. It's not that I'm a bad stay-at-home dad. It's just that I'm not as good as a stay-at-home dad as she is as being a mother.
It usually works like that, from what I'm told.
Yeah.
I don't have any experience raising children, but
knocked it out the park. House looks like a bomb went off though. So that's on me.
You are raising what, toddlers? A 3-year-old and
a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
and it is crazy.
Cleaning doesn't really take place.
They have survived the last 2 days off of yogurt packs and mac and cheese, but they are balling. So there's that.
RFK is gonna hate you, man.
Yeah, probably. Hey, no red dye though. We're avoiding the red dye.
That's good.
Said Coach Coley is real. This is Noah Thomas talking again. He's not going to tell you a lie or what you want to hear. He's going to tell you the truth. He's a great dude. My impressions of James Coley is that James Coley is the coolest dude in the room, in every room. James Coley's cool as shit. He walks onto a football field, on a high school football field, and he's just cool, man.
Have you been in the presence of Coach Coley?
Yeah. I've seen him on the recruiting trail several times. This is why I know he's cool. That's why I know he's a good recruiter.
What's his personality like?
Cool. Laid back. Calm. And then you go to practice, MF and everything. The biggest cusser on the practice field. Very, very high energy. But he is a cool-ass dude.
Hell yeah.
How else do you recruit South Florida at the rate this dude's done in the last 20 years of college football? This dude has been a known, hey, send the slick-haired Coley dude down to South Florida. He's going to come back with a dude. Every time. Cool-ass dude.
It's paying off right now. And I've yet to, and Georgia fans have their reservations, as they do every single coach.
I don't know how. Dude been on campus for less than he got signed in January of last year. Left South Carolina to come to Georgia in January of last year. Okay. Had a room last year that he was coaching up that led the nation in drops. This year, Zachariah Branch is in that room only because he recruited him really well out of high school. Colby Young's, my man Noah Thomas is in that room because he recruited him really well out of high school. CJ Wiley's in that room out of high school. Talon Taylor is in that room because he recruited him really well out of high school. Whew. Immediately. Just like that.
Yeah. I have absolutely no complaints about the job James Coley's been doing. There will be people out there that will find a way to do so, though, because,
What are you doing at practice? Why are we dropping so many balls? What are y'all doing at practice?
Well, I think we also remember the stint that he had as the OC that soured a lot of relationships for it. But
let's see here. Mike Bobo's sales pitch. He was asked about that. The pitch was, "Come be great." I wanted to be great, so that was that.
Wow, I mean that's a
straightforward pitch.
Very straightforward pitch. Honestly, there's not a lot of And I do wonder sometimes, like, how does Mike Bobo work as a recruiter? Because you do hear more about Mike Bobo kind of being abrasive and kind of, I mean, I'll just quote Aaron Murray. Aaron Murray said he was an asshole.
Yeah, on this network. It's a verbatim quote.
So
he's kind of an asshole.
I'm not being defamatory here. That is what Aaron Murray, one of the greatest quarterbacks in Georgia history, said. But it is interesting. I do want to hear like what Mike Bobo says to get you in the building, because obviously it works.
Mm-hmm. I think he's a lot more present of a recruiter than I ever imagined him to be. I heard this from like Landon Duckworth. Landon Duckworth's like 4 or 5, maybe 6 on the board right now.
Right.
He's like way past the backup plan stage. And Landon Duckworth said like a week ago that he talks to Bobo every single day.
Good Lord.
So if that type of relationship is happening with like QB 4, 5, 6, he's recruiting his balls off. He's working hard, right? I mean,
he's working hard.
I mean, that's the point. Early thoughts on quarterbacks. They're all gamers, all competitive.
Here comes the coach speak.
Yeah. They bring their A game every day. They don't hang their head low after bad plays or too high after good plays.
Man, this is
that dude went through a heavy dose of media training before he showed up. I guarantee it.
Do you think they would answer that if we asked them, like, hey, what's the media training regimen like before you even get to the podium? Because there's obviously something that goes on before. It's like they obviously don't just, all right, today you'll be speaking with the media.
I mean, Ja'Cory Thomas was asked about a freshman in particular. He's asked about Jalen Morgan and literally said, I'll let Coach Smart answer that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Didn't even want to say, hey, he's doing great. He's looked great. I'll let Coach answer that question.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would imagine media training is pretty exhaustive at the University of Georgia.
Do you think they'd answer if we asked them?
No. I asked Dylan Fairchild one time, how much does he squat, bench, and what are his numbers in the weight room? He literally looked at the SID and was like, am I allowed to answer that question? And then answered the question. I squat 600 pounds. I power clean 400 pounds. I bench press 500.
I mean, like, that's a metric that, like, you could say, they could use it against you. Like, if you just say, hey, as a UGA player, what's the media regimen they put you through?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a bad question.
No, I would imagine Cash Jones probably would have answered it today. I had someone asked him. Was asked why he left A&M. Said, no knock on A&M. I just wanted something different. Leaving is definitely something that requires you to mature. It was the first time really leaving the state for me. Again, something I was talking about with London Humphreys. Some of these guys just wanted to get out of the state. I really see Georgia on the big stage every year. Coach Kirby Smart is a great coach all around, and he's going to coach you hard. That's what every player should want. There was a follow-up after that about being coached hard from Kirby Smart, and he kind of chuckled it off like, I played for Jimbo Fisher. I don't know if y'all know Jimbo Fisher, but Jimbo Fisher got some words for you. So he's used to being, and again, I told you about Coley. Coley's not a soft players coach. This is a dude who's kind of on you constantly.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a certain aspect of, if you've been in college football around the sport long enough, you're going to cross-pollinate with a coach that coaches you hard. Mm-hmm. There aren't very many, hey, good job, buddy. We'll get him next time.
Not a lot of rah-rah guys?
Not even rah-rah guys, but just like, hey, don't be too hard on yourself. It's okay. You'll get the next one. Like, no, I will kill you if you mess this up. So it doesn't surprise me that he's used to Kirby Smart.
How many feet are in a mile? That type of coaching?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. He was asked about Gunner. What do you think he said about Gunner?
He either said, Gunner works really hard, I really like working with him, or he tried to spin it and go, both quarterbacks are working very hard or look great.
How about even better? Gunner's a great dude. He's probably one of the best human beings I've ever met.
Ooh,
he's so down to earth. Double down on the gamer. He's a gamer, man. He wants to push the ball down the field and put it in the end zone every play.
There we go.
Greatest human I've ever met. How about that?
Huh. Who's the greatest human you've ever met?
Ooh. Probably my grandfather.
That's a good one.
I think my grandfather's the greatest man I've ever met.
That's a good answer.
How about you? Come back to you.
Yeah. let me just sit here for 45 seconds and
unprompted and answer a massive question like who's the greatest person you've ever met. We talked about the most important question for the press conference. Ooh, I'm excited about these players of the day. Do we have these pulled up? Can you get me PJ Dean's huddled?
They're up there.
They're up there?
I'm trying to remember if I put them on the wheel or not, but I think they're just.
So we have their huddles ready on the board. Let's go to this board. So let me tell you a little bit about PJ Dean. PJ Dean is the brother of Jared Wilson. Now, this is Jalewis Solomon, Zayden Walker brother situation. I think they have the same mom, different dad, hence the difference in the names. Okay. So this is like a half brother of Jared Wilson, plays at the same high school Jared Wilson came from out of North Carolina. All right. And is a really, really good football player. He's been popping up on my timeline recently because he went down to the All 22 event in Tampa. Or no, excuse me. He was at the Under Armour event in North Carolina this weekend and played both offensive line and defensive line and dominated. So that's the type of athlete we're about to watch. I'm excited to take a look at the film. Now, PJ Dean is set to commit May 12th. Brother of Jared Wilson, I just told you that. I don't know if I'm just going to avoid that. He's been on campus at the University of Georgia multiple times. Okay, so let's take this is him for sure over here. This is him for sure right here. I expect to see a supreme athlete, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we know Jared Wilson's a great athlete. I think this kid's a lot thinner, a lot more linear. So I expect to see a freak right here. Let's take a look at the tape. We're grunting effort in right there. Let's see if we see some foot fire. That's what I'm paying attention to. When I say a great athlete as an offensive lineman, I want to see foot fire. Here we see him playing defense. Oh. And yeah, you see the athleticism. He really, I don't know what he weighs. This kid can't weigh more than 280 pounds right here in this tape at least. Okay? But I think Kirby, will you look this up? I think he's 6'5", maybe 6'6". I think he's a bigger football player from a length standpoint than Jared was. It seems like he's got longer arms than Jared.
According to 247, he's 6'5", 255.
Yeah, okay, so 6'5", 255. That's what I'm saying. A lot, like Jared's 6'3", 305. All right, so different physical profile, same athletic measurements, I would imagine, from both of these athletes. Okay, I think most recruiting services are projecting this as an interior offensive line projection. To me, I see an athlete that can probably remain on the edge considering how he's built currently. All right, we're going to look at a guy that, as a sophomore, we want to have at about 295 pounds, okay? I wouldn't want to bring this kid into college and throw 60 pounds on him immediately. Also, you have to understand that at the University of Georgia, if this ends up being a Georgia commit, it's hard to get big guys to put weight on at the University of Georgia. It's a whole hell of a lot easier in their track record to get big guys and get weight off of them. We've seen not problems, but we've seen kind of a delay with the weight getting added on to a prospect like Bo Hughley, okay? And we've seen them obviously have tremendous success with big guys like Nair Daniels losing almost 80 pounds, okay? Guys like Daniel Calhoun losing like 40 pounds before they get ready to play.
So if he does commit, what position do you think
he's immediately, let's put him in a tackle, let him swim with the athletes out there. Let's see how much weight we can put on him. Probably project him as a fifth-year guy at the interior offensive line positions.
Whoa, that was strong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to have physical traits. I think Jared's dad was a really, really big-time athlete, and his mom was a really, really big-time athlete, too. Now, obviously, they don't share both parents, but a really, really good mover, man. That's what I'm saying. I don't see a guard projection. I see let's let him survive at tackle and teach him how to stay in front of those good athletes on that side of the ball, because he is one of those, right? He is a good athlete on that side of the ball. I mean, look at that athleticism right there. To bend back out and get that linebacker right there, that's good movement skills right here that we're seeing from him.
Do you think if you throw another 40, 50 pounds on this guy, you lose that athleticism?
I don't think so because of the pedigree, because of what we're talking now. If he's a 4'7", 8" guy right now at this size, Kirby, he's going to be a 4'9", 2" guy at 300 pounds.
Understandable.
But he's going to be a whole hell of a lot stronger, all right? And that's what we need. Even if he wants to play, I don't think he wants to play defense, but even if he wanted to, we'd have to put weight on him. All right, so there's that. He just nailed the top 3 down. I think it's Georgia, Ohio State, South Carolina. All right, so pretty big. South Carolina in the mix for a lot of
prospects. Their name's been popping up a good
on the way coming down the trek here. Now, another football player I wanted to take a look at, Iken Agbokco. Now, this is another relative of a University of Georgia football player. This is Nnamdi Agbokco's brother, okay? Now, this is a mountain of a human being. I think the latest listing, no free ads, the latest listing I've seen from Iken Agbokco is 6'6", 315 pounds. This is a huge human, okay?
That's the other one.
Oh, my bad.
I did that just so we wouldn't see the ad.
We should be almost done with this ad right here. I think Huddle has one of those things where if you click off the tab, it stops the ad. So
that's bullshit, Huddle.
Yeah,
there we go.
Huddle's going crazy. Now, question for the chat. I have an affinity for those prospects born in what region of the country? I'm a world, not country. I'm a big Nigerian prospect guy. If I find out that you got Nigerian bloodlines, I'm all about you, because I know for a fact you are going to put massive amounts of not just size, muscle mass. You're going to look at weights and put on muscles. All right. I learned this with those Ojulari brothers, actually.
Dude, they got
okay, because BJ, when he committed, it was one of the first commitments I covered. BJ Ojulari was like 195 pounds as an edge rusher committing to Tennessee. All right. I see him like 3 months later, post-COVID, and dude's like 250 pounds. It literally looked like the episode of SpongeBob where they walk up to him and inflate his muscles. That's what it looked like, all right? And all he was doing was just eating and lifting, and just swell up like a balloon. So I think this is what I know about the pedigree here as well. Brother has grown a tremendous amount at the University of Georgia. This is a mountain of a human, okay? Iken Agbokco.
Good God, he's a mountain.
Yeah, dude. He's a big man.
Little slow at the hand fire.
I was saying, it's a guard projection immediately, okay? Immediately a guard projection. I think this is like, to be honest with you, man, reminds me a whole lot of Micah Morris. All right, just a huge human that is ungodly strength. We're going to have to teach him how to play football from an offensive guard perspective.
I didn't realize you had a defensive tackle on that play. I was like, brother, that is holding.
Yeah. I mean, he gonna lean on you, Bubba.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. Like, it's why I've had such not a tough time, but it's why I've understood Micah Morris more and more as I study him. Okay, you're not gonna see a lot of like quick movements from Micah. It's gonna look like it comes with sound effects of right? That's what it's gonna look like from these types of football players. I felt this way about Ben Cleveland. Now, my problem as an evaluator when I find those football players is my initial response is, you're not trying hard enough. But they just don't have that in them. They don't have that twitch. They don't have that muscle fiber. So it's not going to look like that. But what they have is ungodly ability to uproot people. And you still need that in this conference. You need this at this position too. We've seen lifers in the league make all pros not having tremendous foot fire. All right, they're just really, really strong humans. This is what this reminds me of. It reminds me of a really strong.
The video is on, by the way.
Huh?
Apparently, music for the video is on.
We're muted here, so we must be finding audio somewhere else.
Might be
Pierre Dean's still playing audio. Dadgummit, Huddle.
Huddle's
had we pulled up the Shane Beamer tweet, we would have been good.
Yeah,
would have been good.
Sorry, boss.
See him moving out there. All right, so we get two brothers right there, two brother connections, family connections to the University of Georgia. I don't know, I can't remember why Iken met the show notes today. Something happened in his recruitment recently as well. So yeah. Important there. I might have put it down on the notes.
While you're here, do you want to spin the wheel one more time?
Oh yeah, let's do wheel. Here we go. I hope the chat's doing well today. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribing, rate, reviewing. We have a trivia question. I got a feeling I'm gonna suck at this. All right, what is your trivia question for me, Christian Kirby? Chat, listen up.
In 2012, this UGA wide receiver led the team with 950 receiving yards.
Is that Michael Bennett?
No, that's a little early for Michael Bennett to make his heyday. Michael Bennett was really big.
Is this Muhammad Massaquoi?
Little after Muhammad Massaquoi.
2012. So this would have been last year of Murray?
Last full year of Murray. He came back for 2013 but got hurt.
It's not AJ Green.
Nope. It's not a really big name. But
Tavares King?
It is Tavares King.
Friend of the show. Tavares King making show notes tonight.
Tavares King is actually the third highest college football, or third highest receiving yards by a Georgia player since Terrence Edwards.
Huh.
50 yards away from 1,000. They couldn't get him a couple more passes.
I remember watching, and we just got done a couple weeks ago breaking down the 2012 SEC championship game. Tavares goes for like $180 in that football game. Now, Rolando McClain damn near kills him towards the end of it, but
yeah,
I mean, a big hit over the middle, but a massive play for them in that 2-minute drill just before the end of that football game, obviously, tragically. But no, TK had plays in that football game where I literally almost, like, why didn't it work out in the league? I mean, he's a great mover.
He had a run with the Giants, I believe.
Yeah.
But I just don't think
Will you combine me for him? Maybe he just didn't have NFL speed because he moved like an NFL football player. He had the ball tracking abilities. He had the hands of an NFL player. He had the routes of an NFL player. Maybe he just didn't have the twitch. Maybe that's why it didn't work out at a full length for him.
He ran a 4.47 in the 40.
I have no idea why Tavares King didn't work out for long term in the league.
1.5 10-yard split. Like, I mean, this
should have, what, 6'1"?
Yeah, 6'1", 192.
Why didn't that work for like 10 years in the league?
I don't know.
12 years in the league.
If I remember correctly,
I don't want to scratch any scabs on my man TK, but I'm going to have to find out. I'm going to have to ask him because there's no reason why he shouldn't have been. Because the college tape was great. The testing's great. Did he just get hurt in the league?
Yeah, it looks like he never appeared in more than 10 games.
So just a bad luck injury thing for TK.
Unfortunate, because, I mean, he was a baller at Georgia. A underrated baller as well.
Shoot, man. I actually remember sending TK a video of him going crazy in that SEC championship game. Dang, man. All right. Spun the wheel. You got NIL dogs for me. You got guys who apparently are making a bunch of money.
So it's a top 10
on 3.
It's the top 10 NIL evaluations for Georgia players, and it kind of surprised me. But before we
want to play a game of cap or no cap?
We can, yeah. I want to go from 10 to 1 here though, because I think that
suspense.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting for you because number 1 is kind of explanatory, and I think it might surprise you. So number 10, I'll start listing them off because there's no sense in having you guessing. It's Ellis Robinson, valued at $451,000. Number 9 is Daniel Harris, $494,000. Monroe Freeling, C.J. Allen, K.J. Bolden, Kristen Miller, Noah Thomas, $790,000. So now it gets in the transfer range. Nate Frazier, your star bell cow running back, $846,000. Number 2 is Gunner with $859,000. Who do you think the number 1 player is?
Nate Frazier.
He's number 2. I just
sorry.
Come on,
that's on me. Is it a defensive player?
It is not a defensive player. I'll even give you a better one. He has not taken a snap in a Georgia uniform. It is.
Yeah.
Zachariah Branch is valued at $1 million.
Yeah. Which
shows you that obviously Georgia probably did some spending to get him here, and they obviously think very highly of him. It's also going to indicate that if it wasn't any question before, he's probably going to be a big part of your offense this season.
We have moved into that realm of college football where your money tied up in a certain player will certainly impact not only his usage, but his playing time. Like how quickly he gets onto the field, especially at programs that just don't have an ass load of money. Georgia's one of these programs that apparently has an ass load of money, but if you don't, man, and you got a lot tied up, like the Darian Mensah kid at Duke. I mean, Duke's roster probably costs what, $15 million, you think?
Yeah.
And they're giving 3 of it to Darian Mensah.
I feel like
he better be great.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think he's pretty good, by the way.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't think this happens as much in the NFL. Like, I don't think there's such a marriage to a player simply because, hey, we've got a lot of money invested. I mean, Kirk Cousins, I think, is a prime example of this, where you paid him a shitload of money. I don't remember what the exact number was.
$100 million.
$100 million, and you were benching him by the back fourth of the season because it was like, well, this didn't work out. We're just going to eat this now.
I mean, no one on this stage is dumb enough to be a Falcons fan.
No, I mean, no one here.
I mean, yeah, no one that's working.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. No one that's, showing up for their job.
But do you think that's the case? I mean, like, even like Arch Manning necessarily. And this is kind of the inverse.
They had a lot tied up in Quinn, too.
That's true. They did have a lot tied up in Quinn.
I think the real answer for this is whoever lands Jared Curtis, how quickly does he feel like he has to play?
That'll be an interesting thing to see.
That's the one.
And will it be because he's that damn good, or is it because...
And look, Kirby, we're not under a salary cap right now. So these things don't matter that much.
True.
We still live in a world where it feels like an endless budget as long as you have a booster that is willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get to a point where not only are you making $2.5 million, but you're at that point 18% of the salary cap, you better be producing, right? You better be out here playing and making differences on the roster. How healthy is this team coming into the spring? So here are the names that I wrote down. We will not see Krista Miller this weekend. We will not see Joseph Jonah-Ajonye this weekend. We will not see Gabe Harris this weekend. We will not see Monroe Freeling this weekend. We will most likely not see Dalen Everett this weekend in a meaningful way. Who else am I forgetting on this list? The Robinsons. We will not see the Robinsons this weekend. That's Roderick and Branson, neither of which are practicing currently.
Did you say Daniel Calhoun?
Did not say Daniel Calhoun. Daniel Calhoun not playing this weekend, but practiced the first 5 days, or 5 of the 15 practices, but is out for the remainder of the spring.
Do you think we see Drew Bobo?
Yes. I saw, not to spoil, I saw Drew Bobo walking across the street today. No noticeable limp.
Okay.
So I think, yeah. Yeah.
What's that loss?
I mean, dude, I don't think there's, you're going to have to, like, that's I got to be on a stretcher guy to not play or practice.
But
got to be on a stretcher.
Got to be on a stretcher to not practice in the spring game when.
Yeah, no, these types of nail eaters do not. There's no. It's just the spring.
Oh, I'm not assuming that Drew Bobo's gonna be like, hey, you know what? I can back off.
I'm good.
But I wonder if it's like, you know what? You're our only center right now that we believe can start. We don't really need to risk you getting out there and going hurt. Let's go ahead and get these guys experience. I mean, I think they did the same thing with Daniel Calhoun.
Yeah.
Where it was like, hey, we feel very confident in what you are. We're going to go and shut your spring down because, yeah, it's a minor injury. Yeah, you could probably play through it if it was week 5 of the regular season. It's not at spring right now. So that's why I'm kind of wondering if we'll see Drew Bobo. Not necessarily because Drew Bobo is just going to be like, yeah, coach, I can't do it.
Who else am I missing on this injury list? Obviously, Dominic Easley and Nitro Tuggle not going to be participating this weekend.
You think Colton Heinrich will play?
No. I don't think he's been available at all this spring. One of those shoulder injury guys.
Yeah, a lot of labrum guys.
AC joint guy.
Do you think we get to see any Ryan Montgomery?
No. He'll be in the uniform because he gets to be in the uniform. But no, you won't see him. He might throw routes on air, but you won't see him. I think the real question is, what are they actually going to do?
That is the biggest question. You know? Was there any predictions amongst media members of like, well, I heard this or...
No, there was actually other conversations going on in the media room that I'll tell you after the show.
I've got an interesting statistic thing for you to say. Georgia could make SEC history this year.
Oh Lord, what do we got?
And it's not like mind-blowing historic plant the flag history, but Georgia has been to 4 of the last 4 conference championship games. Since Kirby Smart took over 9 seasons ago, they've been to 7 of them. So, I mean, they're going at a very impressive clip. If Georgia reaches the SEC championship this year, it would be 5 in a row. They would be the only other team to do that, with the exception of the Florida Gators, who did it from 92 to 96 in a era of, let's be honest,
was 10 teams in the conference, weren't there? Like 12?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as competitive. Conference championship games weren't as much of a big deal. I think if Georgia does that, they'll not only, make history of first team to do that since Florida, they'll have had the most conference championship appearances in a 10-year span. That's more than Nick Saban's Alabama's had. Nick Saban's Alabama at their peak from 2012 to, I believe it was like 2019 when they had the fall, or 2021, they made 7. So to do that in the era of what we just saw last year, it's hard to reach a conference championship. The talent level is more evenly spread out. There's 5 or 6 teams that can make the conference championship this year, as opposed to, well, this is the team that could make it from the West and this is the team that could make it from the East. I think that's going to be one of the more impressive feats Kirby Smart has if they're able to do that. And it's not really getting talked about enough. Now, obviously, we're way out from the conference championships. You have to go in and actually do it. But 5 conference title game appearances in a row in a span of 2 national titles. Oh, by the way, we did this in a 12-team playoff when NIL took over, when the talent level got more dispersed than ever. I think that's something that we need to talk about more.
Yeah, that Kirby guy, he don't get enough credit.
He doesn't.
People need to talk more about how successful he's been.
Well, not Kirby Smart in general, but I think that accomplishment alone, like everyone always, points to, back-to-back national titles. They've had this many playoff appearances. going to the conference title game 8 out of your last 10 appearances.
Do you truly believe it's harder to win an SEC championship than a national championship? Because he's brainwashed that entire building into believing that.
I
believed that in the BCS model, because one major loss like that could knock you out.
Here's why I think.
I don't necessarily, and maybe in the 14 model too, because it did it to Georgia. You know what I mean? But in the 12-team model, it's way harder to win a national title nowadays because you got to play great for 4 rounds.
Well, let's also look at it this way. Basically, every team that Kirby Smart played in the conference championship game, if you didn't beat them, they went to the national title. Every Alabama team that beat you went to the national title. The LSU team that put a mud hole in your chest was the best college football team ever.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's hard to win a conference championship, but it's only for the fact that you're probably running into the team that's going to play in the national championship anyway.
And look, I'm sitting here saying this about a guy who's won more national titles than he has SEC titles.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Tied?
No, he's got more. He's got more SEC titles now.
Okay, so now he's got more SEC titles. But for 20 years of his coaching career of winning both, he won more of the natties than he did the SEC titles. And that's dating back to Alabama too. So it's a little bit me saying, I don't believe you. And he's like, well, buddy, I lived it, so shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
It. I think it's also like, how many times have we watched a conference championship game and says, you know what?
This is the title.
That's
game.
the natty.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about whatever happens here. Like, this was the national championship. I was
this close to tweeting it this year, Georgia, Texas.
I saw those tweets.
I was this close to doing it.
And honestly, like, it didn't age horribly. Texas made a really deep run, and you can throw the well of Carson
Beck. It aged
Beck.
horribly. Ohio State was way better than everybody else. It felt that way.
It aged poorly.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel that way all the way until, Georgia lost to Notre Dame. And you can even then make the argument, well, if Georgia has Carson Beck.
Yes.
We getting a phone call?
No. I was yes in your what ifs. I love a good what if.
Oh, I thought you were getting a
No, I think this is a notey from the tweeter machine. Apparently a Purdue corner just hit the portal. Dang. Watch out. His agent tells so and so.
Dang.
Back to the health, though. I think they are pretty healthy. We already talked about that. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about to close the show tonight. Jentavious Wyman flipped yesterday.
Yes.
Peyton Dyer,
saw this.
A 4-star corner from Duluth High School, about 50 minutes from Athens. Decommits from South Carolina the very next day. He has OV set for Southern Cal, South Carolina, and you guessed it, the University of Georgia.
That's a shocker.
Now, I obviously go on the spring tour every year. This is a football player that last year it was put on my radar as this kid's going to be SEC great. I think there was some let's call it GPA recovery that had to be done before he was out here balling out at the SEC level, and the GPA got quick, like real quick.
Hey,
I think my memory serves me correctly on this, because last year they had the big offensive tackle that ended up at Georgia Tech that was committed to Georgia for Adidjun for a little while.
Oh, that's right. Was this not the 5-star guy that Georgia Tech blew the bag for?
No, that's Joshua Petty.
Okay,
that's a different one. But yeah, same high school. Remember going to see the kid, and it was like, hey, this is going to be our best player. We've got to get things figured out here. And he got him addressed really, really quickly. So I would be very, very attentive to the Peyton Dyer recruitment as it continues. 6'1", 200 pounds, freak athlete. That's what they take at the corner position.
And do you think that was a classic? Like, I don't want to speculate, but the timing's rather.
I have this from 0 sources.
Yeah.
But they lost Jentavious Wyman, and the next day, a premier prospect in the state of Georgia is like, you know what? I think I'm going to open my shit back up.
The timing is rather convenient. I don't want to, allege anything or make any accusations out there, but there's probably a phone call made.
Do we have nostalgic tape today? I have Jared Curtis news as well. Reported this on Patreon this morning. Was scheduled to be in town this weekend for G-Day. Proms this weekend. I think he's going to go to prom.
Can't miss senior prom.
Well, it's junior prom, but he's not going to have a senior prom because he's going to early enroll.
Yeah, no. I didn't have a senior prom either, so.
COVID?
I was COVID, yeah.
That sucks. I had a junior and a senior prom. Junior prom, no more Jägermeister.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy.
I learned no
hangover
more
from hell. Teen drinking is very bad. I had a fake ID though.
That's true. We do have nostalgia tape.
You missed that? You don't know Chingy? He don't know Chingy, chat. My older folks in the chat. I'm gonna put you on Chingy a little bit later. You don't know nothing about the Holiday Inn? I'm
not familiar with what you're talking. I know Chingy though.
Man, I can't wait to put you on Holiday Inn after this show. Your musical taste is a little uppity, but I'm gonna put you on Chingy.
What do you mean? My music taste is a little uppity.
I mean, you like a lot of people that I know, myself included. You think you got superior musical taste to those around you. That's the vibe you give off.
I don't know if I think that.
Do you believe you're very well versed in music?
I would say I am very well.
There you go.
Talking about Chingy, the guy who sings Right There?
Yeah, same guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just don't know that one song.
What are we doing here?
You can either spin the wheel or you can go straight to the nostalgia tape.
Ooh, I want to watch this. A little Jake Fromm action.
This is Jake Fromm.
Now, I know for a fact that's Big Trey Hill's big butt in the middle right there, ain't it? That got to be Trey Hill right there. Oh, man, look at the quads on that big old dude. I mean, Trey Hill got the biggest quads in the history of quads. Look at that. Massive dude. Anyways, great ball, Jake.
By the way, chat's correcting you. Chingy didn't sing that song.
Oh, that's on me. That's on me.
That's funny. So I watched this before we put it on.
Oh, yeah.
It's good tape.
It's good tape.
I mean, this is a deadly move right there.
Like honestly.
But
you know what Jake Fromm ruined? Jake Fromm ruined Luke Nichols' chance of being a 5-star football player. That's the take.
How so?
Jake Fromm goes to Georgia, lives at 2,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, is a 4th-round draft pick, career backup, but they ranked him a 5-star as an industry. That's a negative on the industry. He did not live up to 5-star status from the moment he never portrayed 5-star traits ever in college. But he had 5-star stats. The tape was okay. He was going to the University of Georgia. They made him a 5-star. Okay? Luke Nichols got the same high school career, but won at a much higher rate. Same physical traits. Will go to college and win with the same stuff at Miami, in my opinion, but was never higher than a top 250 guy. So I just think that players like him that are 6'1", 6'2", 205 pounds, don't run a 4.5, don't throw it like a howitzer, but win with great anticipation, great timing, great accuracy, and great decision-making at a really, really high level. I don't think they'll ever be seen as a 5-star again.
I also watched this tape and was like, this is the exact same player we saw for 3 years at Georgia.
Yeah.
Likes to throw outside the numbers, has decent enough arm strength, isn't really a +1 athlete, but you kind of have to respect his running game. Arm strength isn't crazy.
Bro.
I mean, that's...
We got an aggressive fist bump after that. We got some...
it's Jake Fromm. And I don't...
Frommster. We got a ball spin on that one. Did you see that, Kirby?
He loves... Dude.
We got a tradition ball spin. Were you you weren't, neither of us are quarterbacks, but did you have a particular lace that you preferred? Like the side of the ball? I think that's why. I think he flipped the ball to find the laces. Most guys spin it. He was flipping the ball constantly to find the laces.
I thought that was just like a fidgeting thing he did.
Nah, he liked the way one side of the ball felt in his hand. That's why he was constantly flipping it.
I'm fine with either way the ball's in. I just twist it around to get the lace.
Yeah. I've never...
Where do you put your pinky in the lace? I always put mine second to last.
So I'm a middle finger off the lace guy, ring finger second lace, pinky finger touching. I think that's the 6th lace.
You hold it interesting. You hold the middle of the football.
Yeah, I got big mitt.
I hold the back end of it. I got
like the nose.
I'll show you mine.
Yeah.
I hold I go second to last.
Yeah, no. I'm a down middle of the ball kind of guy. Yeah. Big mitts on the dude. I got 10 1/4 inch mitts. We got big paws.
I've never measured my hands, actually.
Yeah. When I first got into covering the NFL draft, I was like, hey, how big are my mitts? So when I criticize someone's hand size, I can be like, you know what? Big mitts on the fella. But anyways, shout out to Jake Fromm. It's good tape.
Love throwing outside the numbers.
Yep. Didn't do so well at that in college. I mean, I know he was asked to do it a lot, but I always hated watching Jake Fromm offenses where it's like, hey, why are we asking Jake Fromm from the right hash to throw a 15 back to 12-yard comeback outside the numbers on the far hash? I feel like that was his,
honestly, like back shoulder fades and that was butter.
Back shoulder fades, I'm good with that. That's a 25-yard throw with anticipation and location. I'm talking about why are we asking a dude who we know doesn't have a huge arm to stand on the far hash and rip balls to the sideline? That was to me what are we doing here? I would have been more of it would have looked like what it looks like now. We would have running everything towards the middle of the field. We would have been running a lot of deep overs. We would have run a lot of digs. He hated throwing
to the middle though.
Yeah, but that's where he would have lived for me with his skill set. So where we at?
10:01.
How about that? Appreciate you guys for being here tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. No noon show tomorrow. Jay Will's not here, so I don't feel like firing up a solo show. Appreciate you guys for being here. We'll see you Thursday night. You good for Thursday night?
I'll be here.
We'll see you Thursday night. Excited for G-Day this weekend. If you're going to be in town, holla at